I love to throw the ball deep. When I was in high school, you always had the guys that, oh, that's all they want to do is run long. Here, let me throw you a pass 65, 70 yards down the field. And I used to launch them. I didn't mind it because my receivers didn't mind it. I could foresee as far as being a pro quarterback because I always wanted to do that. But being in the situation I am now, you really look back on it. You say, did you ever think it'd ever come to this? Especially now being the highest paid player in professional football. That's something I never even dreamed about.
Yes, I think so. Jim Kelly is the prototypical pocket passer, but John Elway is Houdini in a helmet. Because he can run, he has the ability to turn a broken play into a touchdown.
Now, somewhat overshadowed by the quarterbacks today is the fact that at long last, the highly regarded linebacker Cornelius Bennett, he figured in the Dickerson deal last weekend, is set to make his debut now in the NFL in a Bills uniform.
The Bills paid a heavy price for Bennett, but he's the perfect prescription for the ailing young Buffalo.
Sidelines wearing a Bills uniform for the very first time. There is Cornelius Bennett. You know he's got to be a happy man. After a week's practice, he hasn't had contact on the football field for some 10 months. The wind, very definitely a factor. We've had gusts in excess of 25 miles per hour. You can see the goalposts moving in the wind. It definitely will affect the kicking and passing game in this one today. In fact, Denver won the toss and is elected to take the win, and they will kick off, and it will be the Bills receiving. This kickoff sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Rob Riddick in the deep spot along with Steve Tasker awaiting now the opening kick from Rich Carlos as the Broncos, who come into this one 4-2-1, wanting to get back into Super Bowl form, needing the victory on the road with a tough schedule ahead, go against the Bills, who are 3-4 coming into this one today in Buffalo. Here at Orchard Park, expecting a crowd in the vicinity of 65 to 70,000. It is a remarkably mild day, and we are underway with a line drive kick down the middle. Tasker for the Bills trying to find running room out just across the 20-yard line, but that's about it. And so Kelly and company go to work for the first time, and they'll go to work into the wind. Kelly and his fine supporting cast, Harmon, Byram in the backfield, Burkett, Reed, and Metzelaars, the tight end, are the receiving corps. And in the line, a big question mark today, Leonard Burton, who fills in for the ailing Will Wolford. Had an ankle sprain last week early in the game against Washington, and Burton had his hands full with Dexter Manley. Today he has to contend with Rulon Jones. First play from scrimmage. We are underway. And on the ground, it is Ronnie Harmon. Harmon breaking it up close to the 30-yard line. In fact, perhaps just over the 30, getting 7 yards on the initial carry. Checking the defensive alignment now for the Broncos. Gilbert is back after being away with an injury. Townsend goes back to nose tackle, and we mentioned Jones, the All-Pro, on the right side. The linebacking core, Carl Mecklenburg, another All-Pro here. They haven't had the sacks that they would like, but not a major concern to Dan Reeves. It's Harmon again. This time, nothing working, and a penalty marker is down on the play. So the first mistake of the game.
Start, number 61, offense, 5 yards, still second down.
Leonard Burton, the aforementioned left tackle, filling in for Will Wolford, getting the false start. So in his anxiety and his anxiousness to get off the mark today, he has made a mistake that has cost his club 5 yards. Check the defensive backfield now for the Broncos. Haynes and Harden on the corners. Randy Robbins starts today for the injured Dennis Smith in that secondary. Smith suffered an injury last week in the shutout victory against Detroit. Harmon for the third straight time, trying that right side again, picks up a yard or two, and that's about it.
Our key factor for the Buffalo Bills, they must control the line of scrimmage. They are going to have to run the football effectively because the Denver Broncos are one of the finest defenses in the league against the pass. But opponents have been able to run and run successfully against Denver.
From the 27-yard line, third down, the Bills were unable to run the ball virtually at all last week as they lost to Washington. 21 yards on the ground for the ball game. Kelly, for the first time, completes the pass at the 35-yard line to Rob Riddick out of the backfield in the grasp of Rick Dennison. So Kelly on the first one picks up 7 as he goes to the air against the wind.
Riddick, number 40, is a fine all-purpose halfback. Watch the play now. Watch the spin move off of the linebacker. That's a good move to get inside of Dennison. Dennison is going to have his hands full one-on-one with Rob Riddick today.
So at the 35-yard line, Kelly Kelly comes up with the first down. See that Riddick has had a productive season in the 7 games thus far for the Bills with 7 total touchdowns, both as a rusher and a receiver. This time on the ground, it's Byron for the first time. And look at that hole as he crosses the 45-yard line. Only 21 yards last week on the ground, and already the Bills coming out and showing us something.
Byron is a big, strong back, about 235 pounds. He runs well straight ahead. Now, that offensive line is doing what we said they had to do, control the line of scrimmage. Just a straight ahead rush by Byron, and if the Bills do business like this on the ground with Jim Kelly's passing ability, we might have a ball game.
Close to 11 yards on that pickup for the second first down on this opening drive for the Buffalo Bills. Metzelaars, the tight end in motion. Handoff Byron. Nothing working. Tries to pop outside and instead is dropped for a quick loss. Penetration that time by Simon Fletcher, number 73, popping in there along with Jim Ryan. They're the corners as far as the linebacking core is concerned.
For the defense, you see Fletcher there. A good start for a defensive team is stopping the offense on first down, stopping them for no gain. Then the defense can implement its nickel pass defense. And as I said, the Denver Broncos are the best in the business at this.
Simon Fletcher had been a defensive end until this season and was moved outside now as a linebacker. In on that stop. Second down now and about 12 yards needed for the Bills. Short of midfield. Harmon again, right side. Turns the corner by Ryan. Lilly takes a shot at him and finally bangs him out of bounds, but I think he got the first down. That last extra stride was good for the first down as Ronnie Harmon turned it on the right corner.
Ronnie Harmon, number 1 draft choice out of Iowa a couple of years ago. Somewhat disappointing last year, but with the departure of Greg Bell in the big trade, you're going to see a lot more opportunities for Ronnie Harmon. Let's Harmon get around the outside. People sometimes question his speed, but look at that good move. He hesitated. Tony Lilly hesitated too, and I think he was able to pick up the first down.
Well, you see what the Bills did on the ground last week already today. Harmon, 3 carries, 23 yards, exceeding the entire team performance last week. Byron this time struggling straight ahead, not much working. Again, on the right side of the line behind Hull, Vogler, and Devlin.
Buffalo Bills apparently have been watching a lot of film of the Denver defense, because you've got Jim Kelly in your backfield, and he's not dropped back to throw the football except for the one pass to Riddick. And you know they expect to beat the Broncos, if they're going to beat them, at the line of scrimmage with that good offensive line.
We saw Dan Reeves. Here's Marv Levy, his counterpart at age 59, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Reeves in his 7th year at age 43, leading the Broncos. Had them in the Super Bowl, of course, last January. Harmon once again. His 4th carry of the day, and this time the Broncos managed to seal him off, so it's 3rd down and big yardage coming up for Kelly and company. Mark Haynes, the left cornerback, providing the defensive stop.
Now this is a little tougher situation for Jim Kelly because it's not 3rd and 3 or 4 where he can utilize Rob Riddick out of the backfield. He is going to have to look to one of the wide receivers, probably and preferably Trumaine Johnson, whom was acquired in a trade with the San Diego Chargers. If he comes in the ball game, look for him or number 83, Andre Reed. They're usually the people that Kelly will go to in this situation.
Reed and Johnson both to the left, Burkett to the right. Kelly looks toward the right side, and it's picked off by Lilly. Lilly with a lot of room across midfield and out of bounds at the 45-yard line. So Kelly, who had 3 interceptions last week, throws an interception on his 2nd pass of the day against the win, and Tony Lilly was right there.
Well, 2 things. You play right into the hands of the Denver Broncos nickel pass defense when you have to throw the ball. Also, the Broncos did a good job of scouting the Bills because they know also that Kelly likes to go to Reed in that situation. That time, they had a double coverage on Andre Reed. Jim Kelly should not have thrown that pass.
23 yards on the return, the 2nd interception of the season for Lilly, and the Broncos, with their hands on the football for the first time, start in Buffalo territory. Sammy Winder, the lone setback. And it's Winder on the first carry, straight ahead to the 40-yard line as he picks up quick. Let's take another look at that interception, Reg.
See, most pass offenses from the professional level, they're going to go to the inside receiver. That's Reed. Now watch the double coverage. See, he was running right into a trap defense, and that was an excellent defensive call by Joe Collier.
So with the ball at the 40-yard line, Winder, the workhorse last week in that shutout victory against the Detroit Lions by a score of 34-0. Sammy last week rushed for nearly 100 yards in that contest. I believe it was 94. Elway hands again, and again the hole is there, and he's got another 5 as he gets to the 35-yard line before Sean McNanny can knock him down. Let's take a look now at this Bronco offense. Elway, of course, is the mastermind, is the quarterback, and he has Winder and Lang in the backfield. Winder replacing Gerald Wilhite, who suffered the broken leg. Johnson, Jackson, and Kay are the primary receivers. The offensive line, you've got a lot of experience. Larry Lee filling in this particular instance for the injured Bryant. And, of course, injuries have been a far too familiar theme as far as the Broncos are concerned this year, with Bryant, Steve Watson, Wilhite, and we mentioned Dennis Smith out of the defensive secondary, all sidelined at the moment. Winder once again trying to get the first down, and it's going to be close. He needed a couple of yards. Bills indicating that he may not have made it, but of course that may be hopeful. Shane Conlon in on the stop, and we'll still be waiting to get our first look at Cornelius Bennett in action today. Marv Levy said that it may be 10 or 12 plays, but you sometimes figure it might be more than that, Reggie.
You have to get a player like Bennett in the ball game as quickly as you can when you think you can utilize his skills at this point. He hasn't had a training camp. He hasn't played football in 10 months. But you know what? I think his presence for the Buffalo defense means the same as Jim Kelly's presence did last year for the Buffalo offense.
Well, you hear the crowd reacting to the spot. They didn't even bring the chains in to measure, and you can see it's about a half-yard short, and there they're digging in the defensive line for the Bills. Big play as the Broncos are going to elect to go for the first down. Jackson in motion. They need a half-yard. Elway straight ahead has the first down easily. And again, the versatility of that quarterback.
That's the dimension we talked about John Elway that maybe no other quarterback has today in the game. I'm sure that no other quarterback has it. The ability to take things upon himself and get it done by running the football.
One of the Bills shaken up, and I believe it's Eugene Marv, and Marv starting for the injured Ray Bentley. So that could be a problem for the Bills. We'll check on it. We'll be back in just a moment. Back in Buffalo on the right side of the screen, the injured player is linebacker Eugene Marv. Cornelius Bennett, who of course was just acquired on the Dickerson deal last week, here in Buffalo, waits on the sidelines, but it looks like Tony Forjanic is going to replace the injured Marv.
And I talked with Eugene Marv yesterday afternoon, and he was very excited about having an opportunity to start again. He had been a starter here for 6 years until losing his starting position this preseason. So this is really going to deplete the middle linebackers of the Buffalo Bills, and that's an important position.
Let's check now the 10-minute ticker as they continue to work on Eugene Marv and see who's drawn first blood today. Kansas City up over Pittsburgh in this first set of early games around the country, and this the 8th week of the NFL action. Chicago on top of Green Bay, other games scoreless, and a big one at Indianapolis today, and no scores you can see between Tampa Bay and St. Louis. No score here in Buffalo between the Broncos and the Bills, and right now concern for the Bills is Eugene Marv, who suffered a knee injury in the preseason and training camp, and that was one of the reasons why he got off to a slow start. As Reggie had indicated, had such high hopes coming in today, is going to go over to the carts, and let's see if we can take a closer look.
Right in the center of your screen, you'll see number 54 coming from the right, Eugene Marv. There it is right there, right there. Bruce Smith falling on the right leg of Eugene Marv on the right side of your screen. That's a big fellow to fall on your knee, Gary.
Indeed it is. They also may be working. I'm not sure if it's on the lower extremity or if it's also the arm, but they seem to be hanging onto that left arm and holding it very, very carefully as he moves off the cart now, and will go into the locker room for further examination. And of course, as soon as we have any information pertaining to that injury, we'll pass it on to you. Right now, the Broncos at the 31-yard line, the first series after the turnover. Elway in control, no score. First quarter here in Buffalo. On the ground this time, Steve Sewell. Penalty marker is down. Penalty marker coming right in the middle of the stack as Sewell got a couple of yards to about the 28-yard line. Sean McNanny was there along with Forjanic on the tackle. Let's take a look at the rest of the defensive alignment now for the Bills. McNanny, Smirlis, and Smith up front. Here's the linebacking core, and now with Eugene Marv out of there, you have got Tony Forjanic, who was activated yesterday in his place. As you can see, Shane Conlon is a rookie.
Center, up there, still first down.
And you see the defensive backs. Nate Odoms is a rookie. That's a young defensive backfield. But right now, there was holding on the center, Larry Lee of the Broncos, which has moved the ball back across the 40 to the 41-yard line.
That's the most destructive penalty in football. First down holding. Changes everything around. Makes it 1st and 20 And that's a very difficult situation to overcome for a quarterback.
With the wind at his back, Elway now has Orson Mobley in motion momentarily. Now he's in motion once again. On the delay, Sewell with the football, trying to struggle forward inside the 40 and did a nice job of picking his way for about 4 or 5 yards before Smith could pull him down. Dan Reeves had some great things to say yesterday about Bruce Smith. He just says that when it comes to defensive ends around in the National Football League, he's about as good as anybody that plays.
He has superior ability to rush the passer, but the problem is they have no one else to rush the passer, so that Bruce Smith is often doubled and triple teamed. That's why Cornelius Bennett is so important.
And we understand that it is an elbow injury for Eugene Marv. He is out for the afternoon, will not return to action. Elway with a little fake, now fires, intended for Mobley at the 20-yard line, but he couldn't get to the football. Dwight Grain was providing the coverage, and Kelso was also over there. And so the crowd roaring support here for the defensive unit. And Cornelius Bennett is coming into the ballgame for the first time, and that's also a good reason for this reaction. There he is, number 55, Cornelius Bennett. No contact for 10 months. They loved him at Alabama, and he rated right up there behind Vinny Testaverde in the draft.
And he is an unusual athlete. Very agile, can jump, can run, can outrun a lot of wide receivers in this game. And he just has the knack of making a big play. Let's watch him.
3rd down and 15, and Elway will go to work out of the shotgun. Standing back at the 45 now. Pressured. Elway in trouble, but still with an opportunity, throws and completes the pass. Penalty marker is down. Clarence Kay was the receiver, but a penalty marker down.
What do we call him? Houdini in a helmet. This is a spectacular player. I don't care if they call this back or not. That is one great play.
Dick Jorgensen is our referee today. Will give us the interpretation.
Here we go, forward pass. The quarterback on the cross line. Back. Number 7 offense. Penalty is once again. 4th down at the line of scrimmage.
Here's what Elway saw. Watch Bennett now, number 55. He feels some pressure coming from the right side. Even though he doesn't get to Elway, he allows number 95, Sean McNanny, to come up inside. Now watch this by Elway. Good move right there, getting away from Smurley, then cutting back inside and having the presence of mind to go backwards to look for the line of scrimmage. Unfortunately, he didn't get back far enough.
So with the penalty, makes it 4th down, the loss of down, and coming on now is Mike Horan, who will handle the punting chores with the wind at his back, and of course will be angling for the sidelines as Ron Pitts stands back at about the 10-yard line and probably have no opportunity for a run back here. Little pooch kick over here toward the corner, and it is a beauty. Oh, he put it out at about the 2-yard line. Horan is going to be delighted with that one. Inside the 23 times this season for 33 yards. He drilled this one out, and the Bills will go to work against the wind, and they'll start deep in their own territory.
Watch John Elway. He must have extrasensory perception for tacklers. There it is. He's ducking one. I don't know how he knows how these people are there. He just must have great field vision.
Back to the live action. Kelly and the Bills at their own 3-yard line with Reed in motion. On the ground, Harmon, who had success in the early series, picks up 2 yards to the 5-yard line. At least the Bills' running game has generated more on the ground thus far in this one than they did last week. As we go back now to the 10-minute ticker. No changes here among the early games. Kansas City with a touchdown advantage against Pittsburgh. Chicago got a 59-yard touchdown pass, McMahon to Neil Anderson, and Indianapolis with a field goal now leading San Diego. That's a battle of division leaders taking place at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. 2nd down and 8 from the 5-yard line. Reed again in motion. Byram this time, the big back, cruises his way out to the 10-yard line as he pops straight ahead for 5 yards. Rulon Jones is there to hammer him down.
Bills head coach Marv Levy is sticking to his plan. Gary, you know, he told us that we don't have a chance against a Super Bowl contending team unless we're capable of running the football and running it effectively. And the second part of that was he had to have good special teams play. Good punting, make the field goals when you have to, and good kick coverage.
One of the things that Dan Reeves indicated very emphatically was we cannot have to play catch-up football here against Buffalo in the home setting. They just don't want to get into that situation. They want to control. They had an opportunity, couldn't capitalize. Now the Bills trying to get the 1st down and have it. It's Ronnie Harmon once again. The second-year man from Iowa delighting the hometown fans in the early going in this one before he was finally knocked down by Randy Robbins and Rick Dennison. 9 yards on the pickup.
A lot of teams don't like to use the shotgun formation because it takes away some of the plays that you can run with the quarterback in the backfield. But this is one of the plays that's run very frequently from the shotgun. It's an inside handoff to Ronnie Harmon. Look to the left of the screen. Good block by Jim Richard, number 51. Harmon picks up the first down.
Richard leading the way with an excellent block out to the 20-yard line now after they started at the 3. Fake pitch. Now they swing back to Metzelaars on the right side. Robbins had it diagnosed beautifully. Randy Robbins filling in for the injured Dennis Smith wasn't fooled one bit.
But covering Metzelaars is a load. He is 6 feet 7 inches tall. As a matter of fact, he only caught that ball for 2 yards, but when he fell down, he gained 5.
Robbins is 6'2", and Metzelaars, the former All-American basketball player, Division III at Wabash University in Indiana. Also a heck of a good football player who has caught 14 balls this season. Hand off to Riddick. And again, they worked on the right side, and coming over quickly to close it down was Tony Lilly. Looked like there was an opportunity initially, but it didn't work out. This telecast today presented by authority of the National Football League and intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other written use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Buffalo Bills and the National Football League is prohibited. This game is the property of the National Football League, Denver Broncos, and Buffalo Bills.
When you're facing a team of superior ability, you have to have discipline. And apparently, the Bills have that discipline. They're going to stay with running the football until Denver stops them.
Certainly an indication of some maturity on the part of this ball club. Riddick, a lot of room. Across midfield, almost had the football stripped away and pulled down at the 45-yard line. Andre Townsend was there to nail him after a 24-yard pickup. Rob Riddick, and what a hole he had to work with, and then he showed us some nice broken field form, right?
There aren't a lot of people around the league that know a lot about number 40, Rob Riddick, but the people here in Western New York know that he is a very reliable player. Look at the good vision. He's a kick runner, so he knows what to do with the football when he gets into the open field. The thing I like about him just then was he protected that football, Gary.
Somebody had a shot and almost knocked it away. It may have been Mike Harden, but he did protect. And at the 45, here's Harmon. Again from the right side, and again picking up 5 or 6 yards. This is definitely a different ball club than was playing here against Washington last week.
It's a football team right now that's playing with a lot of power. The Denver Broncos aren't making anything happen at the line of scrimmage. If you're being run on, that means you're being defeated at the point of attack by blocks. The Broncos are going to have to get away from some of those blocks and get into the backfield. Look at down the line of scrimmage going to the left. You see the Broncos, they're just sliding down the line of scrimmage. They're being blocked. And if you're blocked, you sure can't make tackles until a runner's gained yardage on you.
Second down and 4 from the 39. Handoff, once again, Harmon. And they head for a yard or possibly 2. Not much working that time. Rulon Jones is there for the tackle, and the Broncos, who view this as a very important ball game. They've got some tough ones coming up. They've got Chicago in a Monday night game next week, and there have been some speculation that perhaps this team would be guilty of looking ahead. Dan Reeves and his staff have been determined that that's not going to be the case coming in here today.
And on the other hand, the Buffalo Bills are 3-4, and they're only a ball game out of first place.
And they have Cleveland next week, and then the Jets, Miami, and the Raiders. So tough schedules coming up for both of these clubs. Interesting stat there relating to last week's ball game, the Broncos and the Lions, as the Bronco defense now faces 3rd and 1. Riddick tripped up, going to be close to the first down. This will depend on the spot right at the 35-yard line.
He didn't get that.
Once again, Rulon Jones.
It was a tough decision for Marv Levy and the Buffalo Bills because the Broncos are the finest 3rd and 4th down short yardage defense in all professional football. They stop more people in this situation than anyone else. There it is again. Look at everybody along the line of scrimmage. You see Harden right there. Look at the good low penetration they get, the good charge. They neutralize the Buffalo Bills right at the line of scrimmage, and their linebackers steal and make the hit. Big play right now.
Right now, 4th down and inches. First quarter, no score. Buffalo in the Bronco
Didn't make it.
And Kelly trying to go over the top.
I I don't think he made
Ricky
that.
Hundley, I think, was the man who muscled up, and he got it. He did get it.
I got to see that again.
Well, I'm sure we'll get an opportunity. There's the reaction of head coach Marv Levy on the sideline, and he needed about 4 inches, and he may have gotten 5.
Sometimes the biggest plays in football are for the least amount of yardage. We didn't get a chance to see it right then, but
Hundley was trying to stand him up, and it was close. There wasn't any question about it, but they got what they needed. First down at the Denver 35. Reed near side, Burkett far side, Metzelaars the motion back. The handoff this time to Jamie Mueller for the first time, and look at him go to work. Still on his feet, loses the football, and the Broncos have it at the 20-yard line. Second turnover of the day, and Jamie Mueller, the rookie out of Benedictine, a great effort, but he ended up losing the football, and on top of it was Freddie Gilbert.
you just can't afford to play that way against the Denver Broncos. They are a Super Bowl team. They know how to take the ball away from teams during adversity.
So a drive that started on the 3 results in the turnover at the 20.
Nice touch. Mueller, who just fumbled the ball, being consoled by his teammates. It's a lonely world when you fumble the football in your own territory.
They had driven 11 plays, almost 80 yards, but the turnover kills the drive. Sammy Winder, not much working. I want to point out that Cornelius Bennett is not on the field defensively in this series. Fred Smirlis in on that tackle for the Bills.
The Bills are young, but they're not without enthusiasm. And you saw on that play, they had 4 or 5 people into the backfield. They're getting good penetration against the Broncos. The Broncos are going to have to neutralize that Bills charge at the line of scrimmage.
And on the sideline, you can see right near Marv Levy, who's somewhat shielded from us, was Cornelius Bennett. We saw him in action on the previous series for the first time in the Bills uniform. The pitch out comes to Sewell. Sewell with some running room, bumped out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Pretty good lateral pursuit. Looked like it might work for bigger yardage, but Nate Odoms, the right corner, was coming across there very, very quickly. Odoms, a rookie out of Wisconsin, and he has been getting some heralded notices here, trying to help strengthen this secondary.
Well, Odoms is a good man-to-man coverer. He's got outstanding speed. And what did Levy tell us? When he gets beat, he doesn't sulk. He knows how to come back and play the next down. And that's one thing you look for in cornerbacks. Cornerbacks need to have short memories.
Down to 1:06 to play here in this first quarter. Still no score. Denver out of the shotgun now, looking at third down. They need 6. Bennett is on the field defensively now. Great pass rush as they set up the little swing, and it's no good, intended for Sewell. Good penetration and pressure that time. Forced Elway to hurry just a little bit.
I'm not saying this just because Bennett is in the football game, but I've never seen a linebacker in life get through a quarterback this fast. Look at the speed right through everybody. John is not ready to throw the ball. He has to get rid of that ball before the running back has turned his head.
So that forces a kicking situation with the wind at his back. Mike Horan now gets set to punt for Denver. Ron Pitts stands back at his own 37-yard line now. So the Bills have been able to do the job despite a couple of costly first quarter turnovers.
Pitch back to Buffalo.
Plenty of time, and he gets off the kick, and look at this with the wind. Oh, this is going to go forever. Look at that. Bounces all the way through the end zone. There is a penalty marker down, however. That was a 76-yard punt, and they're going to bring it back. 76 yards. The longest in Horan's career was 75, and the longest this season, 53. But we told you the wind would be a factor, and now you know why.
Not even the mile-high winds in Denver have been as gracious to Horan as the winds are in Buffalo today.
Number 48, offense, 10 yards, still 4th down.
Randy Robbins on the special teams that time on the punt team, guilty of the hold, and so that takes it back, and Horan will try again. Ron Pitts is standing back there at the 35, and he's looking up at a bullet flying over his head.
Yeah, but I think he was somewhat concerned because I think he feels that Pitts has to get back there and field that football, because if he gets that football, there's a lot of room to run because the coverage team is nowhere near a punt that long.
You see the numbers on his returns thus far this year. 7 attempts and 17 the longest return for the son of Elijah Pitts, a former NFL great who's now a member of the coaching staff. So Horan this time stands back at his goal line. Could he kick one the length of the field? We'll find out. This one's much shorter. Pitts backpedals, fields it at the 33-yard line, and he has room at midfield and pulled down at the 46-yard line. Again, penalty marker is down, however. Penalty marker is down. Randy Robbins, who was guilty of the penalty that forced the second kick, in on the tackle with Simon Fletcher. On that return, 22 yards after a 53-yard punt. And we'll get the indication of who pays the price now on the second penalty on this particular play.
Illegal block, number 85, receiving team, going to run back. 10 yards, first down.
So some of the run back is negated. We have just 43 seconds to play in the first quarter. Still no score. When we come back, Kelly and the Bills have the football. Much a factor. Kelly's been working against the wind. He's got just over 40 seconds, and then he's going to have the wind at his back.
But I've been very impressed by the way the Bills have played. I mean, they have just taken charge of this football game. If it were not for the 2 turnovers, I'm sure they would have a score by now.
Still no score at this particular moment. The interception and the fumble have been costly, but you have to be impressed at the way thus far Buffalo has been able to move the ball on the ground. First down now. They start from their own 35, 36-yard line. Time running out in the first quarter, and they stay to the ground. And this is Mueller, who carried and made the fumble, and he's getting his second chance. Hangs on to the football, and he gets about 6-7 yards as he crosses out to about the 43 before Tim Ryan is there, or Jim Ryan, to bring him down.
And did you notice what they did? That's the same runner who fumbled the football in the scoring territory. So what do? The next time they get the football, they give it to him on the first play. I think that goes a long way in reestablishing a player's confidence.
Saw the graphic that the Bills have been unable to generate points in the first quarter all year. Remember, against Miami, they were down 21, and they came back and won that one down at Joe Robbie Stadium. As the countdown continues, and we're down to the last couple of ticks of the clock here. The first quarter has ended in Buffalo. No score. It's been entertaining. Stay with us for second quarter act. Buffalo, along with Reggie Rucker, I'm Gary Gerald. And as you watch those uprights, you get an idea of just how much the wind is blowing and the factor that it has been. Only 4 passes thrown in the first quarter. Only 1 of the 4 completed. 1 was intercepted. In fact, John Elway 0 for 2 in that first quarter. And look at the rushing total for the Bills. Last week, just 21 yards. They've already got 110. And look at the time of possession as the Bills have dominated the first quarter. Yet, the 2 turnovers have kept them from making a dent on the scoreboard. Now with the wind at Kelly's back. Let's see if he goes to the ground. Indeed, he stays on the ground. Harmon going out of bounds. And just how long he'll wait before he puts it up top and tries to take advantage of the wind. Simon Fletcher coming over to make that stop on Harmon, who's had a very productive first quarter. Reminder to our viewers that we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the contest. Just underway in the second quarter. Number of plays run thus far, 22 times the Bills have handled the ball to 9 for the Broncos.
That's one sure way to beat the Denver Broncos. Don't give Elway the opportunities. And you do that by running the football and keeping him on the bench, consuming time on the clock, and maintaining an advantage in time of possession. If the Bills do that, they've got a chance in this ballgame.
Kelly is a man who has completed at least 25 passes in every game that he has played this season. That could be a big challenge today under these conditions. Jamie Mueller with his 3rd carry. That's a couple of yards. Mecklenburg is there for the tackle for the Broncos.
And the reason why I say the Bills have a chance in this ballgame is because everybody knows the Denver Broncos are a Super Bowl contending football team. The Buffalo Bills have no such aspirations. They want to improve their ball club, their defense. So if you're a Super Bowl contender, you have to win football games on the road against teams like the Buffalo Bills.
At the 48-yard line, second down, a little over 8. Reed is split wide to the right, Burkett wide to the left, and it's the tight end Metzelaars who is the motion back. A little movement up front that time, but everybody okay. Kelly in trouble. Now going to have to hang on to it, and he manages to scramble forward for 3 or 4 yards. Let's check the 10-minute ticker now and update activity around the National Football League at this particular point. Washington and Philly both with touchdowns and are even. Cleveland now leading Atlanta Cleveland trying to bounce back after that loss in overtime against San Diego. The Chargers, meanwhile, trail Indianapolis. Green Bay has tied things up against Chicago, and the Raiders with a field goal over Minnesota. Tampa Bay by a touchdown over St. Louis. No score in this one between Denver and Buffalo. Buffalo has dominated in time of possession, running up the numbers, but neither team has scored. Bills just inside Denver territory out of the shotgun. Looking to throw, little razzle-dazzle intended for Kelly at the 40 with a lot of room. Kelly out of bounds at the 15-yard line on the flare pass from Rob Riddick. They love it in Buffalo. 34 yards on the gain, and you know that Dan Reeves is going to throw the gadget bag at you, but are you surprised that Marv Levy comes up with it?
No question about it. That was a marvelous football call by Marv Levy. Watch, going to the left of your screen. Now, they've run this play before, and they were successful with it. So everybody on the Denver team is over there. Now, look at that. Jim Kelly all along. I think, and I'm not so sure about this, but I do believe that's the longest pass to a quarterback in history.
Well, Kelly has got to love it. Not exactly fleet of foot, but he got down to the 15, and now he wants to roll out and carry again. This is another surprise. He goes down at the 12-yard line. This is a different look, and that's scary a little bit when you see your quarterback scramble out there hanging onto that football.
Jim Kelly's probably saying, hey, John Elway gets all this acclaim about being a runner. I'm going to show a few folks that I can do some of the same things if given the chance.
Dan Reeves was telling us last night, he said the thing about Kelly is that he's like a street fighter. He'll just come and come and come. He's so tough, so physical, taking the punishment, and you can see some concern etched on the face of the coach of the Denver Broncos right now as his ball club digs in with the Bills at the 11-yard line.
This is a resilient defensive unit, though. This is where they get tough. You have to take care of the football.
Pitch out comes to Riddick, tripped up. May have gotten back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Simon Fletcher in on the tackle that time as Riddick had no opportunity to break it loose.
Let's take another look at Jim Kelly's reception. This looks like a throwback to the old days. Big, strong, upper body Jim Kelly. And now watch this. He takes all day to get going, but it's a big play. Gets out of bounds, too. That's smart.
It's going to be a bigger play if they can punch it in for 6 rather than have to settle for a field goal attempt. And this play may determine right now because it's 3rd down and they need a bunch. Harmon turns the corner. He goes out of bounds and he's right at the flag. It's really hard to tell from our angle. Randy Robbins bumped him down, and Harmon did an excellent job because he saw the marker on the sideline and he may have gotten the 1st down.
Denver has to be looking for the pass. And Kelly crosses them up right here because he runs the football again. It's a good block by Vogler, number 65. That's really the key to that play. The good block thrown by number 65, Tim Vogler. Gives Ronnie Harmon the daylight to pick up that 1st down.
Well, they brought the chains in from the far side of the field. Harmon, and there is the indication. Oh, wait a minute. Had they pulled it taut? Yes. That'll be 1st down. Started to say that Harmon, coming into this ball game in 7 games this year, had rushed for just 91 yards, and he's over 50 in the 1st half of this one. You wouldn't expect that against the Denver Broncos. Big play there as they got the 1st down, and that'll keep this particular drive alive as we're early 2nd quarter. We've played only 3 minutes and 4 seconds of the 2nd quarter, but here now is the first serious scoring attempt of the afternoon. Kelly asking for a little bit of quiet. Now the shift in the formation. Kelly rolling, wind at his back. Touchdown Bills. Rob Riddick out of the backfield. There is a penalty marker down. We're about to say, and there you see the immediate reaction as Kelly was just informed that there's a penalty marker.
Interference, number 88, offense, 10 yards, still 1st down.
Talk about critical mistakes. Pete Metzeler has just made one.
You know, I think this is a pick play. You see this play a lot in the National Football League, and it isn't always called. We can't see it from this angle, but what I think is that Metzeler's number 88 went running inside, probably made contact with the defensive man. You cannot do that before the ball is thrown, and of course they caught him.
Well, that moves it back now, and the ball is spotted at the 14-yard line. Still 1st down, 1st and goal for the Buffalo Bills. Burkett split wide to the right side. Andre Reed is wide left as Kelly backpedals and takes a look for the end zone. Harmon mistiming there as Harmon didn't even look back for the ball, and Kelly, under some pressure, had to throw it out quickly.
That was a good decision by Jim Kelly. He realized that nothing going for him, and he got rid of the football. You don't want to take a lot of sacks down here because it really disorients your offense and throws you out of sync. So that's a good decision by Kelly, who's making more of those kinds of decisions than he did last year. Last year, he might have tried to throw that ball into the receiver and had it picked off maybe.
Time of possession you saw better than 13 minutes the Bills have had the football. That's compared to last Sunday when here at home they had the ball for only 19 minutes the whole afternoon against Washington. Time to throw right over the middle. Burkett hit hard at the 5-yard line, and what a pop leveled by Mike Harden.
Oh.
As a former wide receiver, you can relate to that punishment.
That kind of hit makes me glad that I am up here. Mike Harden, number 31, really one of the outstanding cornerbacks in pro football, was the most valuable player for the Denver defense last year. Watch him. Number 85, right in the middle of your screen. Burkett should make the catch, but there it is. Bang! Helmet first hit. Burkett can't hold it.
Lined up in the neutral zone.
Well, you may have heard in the background that there was offside on the part of the defense lined up in the neutral zone, so Burkett will make sure that he's okay. You can see him in the lower portion of the screen walking off here on the near side of the field. But that is going to help the Buffalo cause as the ball's now spotted back at the 9-yard line.
One of the things Jim Kelly told us about Burkett was that he does catch the ball in traffic inside, but I don't think anybody can hold a pass like that when you get hit that way.
When you get nailed by Mike Harden, who's been around this league for 8 years now, and he's going to feel it. Out of the shotgun. From the 9, Kelly looking to the end zone. Here's your touchdown, Buffalo. Andre Reed. Two drives thwarted by turnovers. A touchdown called back after a penalty. No flags this time. And Andre Reed gets him on the scoreboard. His 3rd touchdown reception of the year. 9 yards from Kelly.
Andre Reed is the man they like to go to when they get down around the goal line. He has those quick, elusive moves to get away from bump and run coverage. But I'll tell you the problem there, and we'll get to it after the extra point kick.
Scott Norwood comes on for the conversion attempt out of the hold of John Kidd. Right through the middle, Shell, Buffalo with a 9-yard touchdown throw to Andre Reed. Let's look at the reaction now. The quarterback, Machine Gun Kelly, right over the middle, and the Bills lead it by 7.
Today's game is brought to you by Mazda, bringing performance and value together. That's the Mazda way. By Nikon, we take the world's greatest pictures. And by Tandy Computers, because there is no better value, only at Radio Shack.
Gary Gerald along with Reggie Rucker. There's Jim Kelly on the phone upstairs after throwing a 9-yard touchdown pass to Andre Reed, his 13th consecutive game with a touchdown, and you see the NFL record. Got a long way to go before he catches up with Johnny Unitas. A long way to go. But they love him in Buffalo, and why not? He's really made an impact in his 2 seasons up here now in Western New York. With the wind at the back, I think Norwood put that one through the uprights.
He did. You know, he was kicking some balls 60 yards in practice today with that wind at his back. I wonder if we won't maybe see an attempt at a record today at some point.
I understand that Burkett suffered a slight head injury, but they expect that he will see action later in the day. That's the result of that pop from Harden. Denver today has had the ball only 9 times before they've had to surrender it, while the Bills have run 30 plays, and Buffalo now leading it 7-0 as Elway and company go to work from the 20. Johnson, the motion man. Sammy Winder, the lone setback, and a little play-action fake. Here's the reverse now. With the football and looking for room is Johnson. He swings back to the right, and he is hit hard at about the 28-yard line. Got a penalty marker down on the field. Lance Johnson trying to circle the wagons that time as he started to the left and then had to go back in the other direction, and the indication that the procedure is going to go against the Denver Broncos.
Only one man can be moving in motion.
Illegal motion. 2 men in motion. Offense. 5 yards. Still first down.
When you have a penalty like that, it's usually, Gary, the man that's going to get the ball who becomes overzealous about getting the ball. And what did he do? He went in motion a little bit too soon.
Derek Burrows on the left corner held his ground so that when Johnson came circling back to that side, he was the one who dropped him. Penalty moves the ball back now to the 15, where it's 1st and 15 for Elway. Under a bush, flips it out here. Lang, and the ball knocked away, and it was almost intercepted. Number 76, Fred Smerlis of the Bills, was doing his best to handle one of the offensive linemen, and the ball came very close to popping into his hands. Trying to throw against that wind, even those short little passes, it's going to be tough duty today.
Well, and the Bills have a lot to do with what's going on with Denver. John Elway and company don't seem to have the kind of personality about their offense right now.
Bennett has come back on the field. That's the reaction. Elway still looking for his first completion of the afternoon. He has put the ball in the air 3 times, and you see the result. Try to keep an eye on Cornelius Bennett as he comes in from the left. They run the ball away from him. Steve Sewell handling across the 20, 25, hit hard at the 27-yard line and out of bounds. Tell you, there's some big league hitting going on in this ball game today.
And that's the same play that Buffalo has been running so successfully. Denver that time with Sewell going the opposite direction, gets outside. When you get outside on a pro defense, you've had some good seal blocking at the line of scrimmage by the tight end and usually by the lead back. And that's what they got that time. They put themselves in a very favorable position to pick up a first down now.
You saw that razzle-dazzle on the part of the Bills drive when Riddick threw the pass to Kelly. Steve Sewell last year threw a touchdown pass to John Elway on their march toward the playoffs and eventually the Super Bowl. Johnson in motion. Out of the shotgun, Elway goes to work, being pressured, dumps the screen out here, and no opportunity to complete it. Sewell was the intended receiver. And the Buffalo fans starting to really get in the spirit of it now. Darryl Talley had a good push that time with some pressure as well defensively for Buffalo.
Well, you can see the impact that a Bennett makes with a big play. It sort of lifts the other players around him to make great plays. That time, number 56, Darryl Talley, who is the best Buffalo linebacker right now, put the same kind of pressure on Elway, forcing him to throw the ball early.
Now, Horan, early in the first quarter, if you were with us, you saw him kick 176 yards. It was called back by penalty. That was with the wind at his back. Now he's going to kick into the wind, and it's going to be a much different story. And Pitts stands at his own 39-yard line, awaiting the kick.
I've seen punts into this wind in this stadium go 7 or 6 yards.
So the left footer puts it up there, and it doesn't go very far. Gets a little extra distance on the roll, but not much. Only to the 41-yard line. Tough conditions to be kicking into today. Ken Bell there to down it. 31 yards on the punt. Buffalo with a 7-point lead will have the football and a chance to try to... As we check scores on the 10-minute ticker, Cleveland now with a 2-touchdown advantage. One of those a 54-yard pass from Kozar to Slaughter. Kevin Mack has added a touchdown run. Diasucci with a couple of field goals has Indianapolis leading San Diego in another big game, and we'll be checking on that in just a moment. Right now on the ground, Rob Riddick for the Bills, struggling for a yard. Jim Ryan with the tackle as we go back now to the 10-minute ticker and check those other scores. Green Bay has gone out in front of Chicago after the Bears led that one. Minnesota by 4 over the Raiders. And in the other early game, Tampa Bay continuing to hold on to that 7-point lead against St. Louis. Here, the Bills lead Denver 7-0. We have 10:15 to play here in the first half.
Denver that time did a good job of stopping the run. One thing about pro football is that if you don't stop the run, you usually don't win.
So second down and a long 9. Reed in motion. And on the ground once again, it's Riddick to the right. Now this time, Denver making those adjustments and coming up to make the tackle was Freddie Gilbert. Gilbert, who's, we mentioned, coming off an ankle injury that he suffered a few weeks ago, back in the starting lineup today, and he had that one sniffed out very nicely.
Well, now Denver has taken the advantage away from Kelly and the Bills and given it to the defense of the Denver Broncos, because this is where they excel. When you're in an obvious passing situation against them, they can double up on your primary receivers, get a good blitz, and they look for turnovers in this situation.
That's Joe Collier, who was a head coach at Buffalo back in the mid-60s, 66 through 68. He is the assistant head coach to Dan Reeves, in charge of the Denver defense. Kelly looking deep. overthrows the intended receiver over there on the far side with Tremaine Johnson. That one just kind of took off and sailed.
Well, that's
no
the best
kicking situation.
Excuse me, Gary. That's the best defensive series for Denver because they did the number one thing that a defense has to do. That is stop the run. And they forced Jim Kelly to throw the football into their strength, which is defending against the pass.
Two other drives by the Bills have been negated by turnovers, and then they had the drive for the touchdown. This time the Broncos stopped them. Mike Harden is standing back now as the intended return man at the 20-yard line. Kidd hangs one up, lets the wind go to work. It's a beauty, but it bounces backwards, and it is down at about the 22-yard line. It was high and it was long, but it didn't take a favorable bounce for the Bills. 35 yards total on the kick. Buffalo on top. Denver with the football in a moment. One coming in, and these are the starters that they're playing without. Wilhite, of course, with the fractured leg. Watson with the broken ribs. Still 4 to 6 weeks away from getting back into action. Bryan and Smith out with knee injuries. Broncos trailing 7-0 here with 9:06 to play first half in Buffalo. Bills defensive unit now trying to respond to the challenge as Gene Lang circles on the side, and he is bumped out of bounds. Lang, I believe, carrying for the first time today, had McNanny and Conlon to contend with over on that far side. Cornelius Bennett not in the ball game at the moment. Get a look at the numbers relating to the offense for the Broncos that's been so successful this year. And it's also interesting to note that when you throw out the replacement games, the average for the regulars in generating offense is well over 400 yards. That's a pretty impressive number as it is. It leads the league. A lot of people have had to, in their minds, qualify some of the stats because of those replacement games for 3 weeks. But the regulars have clearly done the job numerically for the Broncos. Elway countering back to the right, setting up, wants to throw against the wind with a lot of time. Now flips it out here, almost intercepted. Burrows had a shot. It was intended for the rookie Ricky Nattiel, and Derek Burrows had it slip through his hands.
Now that's a pass that Elway is accustomed to hitting because of the great arm strength, the velocity that he has. He usually gets a pass to his receiver like that in an instant. But watch this. Watch to the left of your screen. He looks downfield. Now he goes back to the right side, left side on your screen. That ball sails a little bit, doesn't get to the receiver, Nattiel, in time, and Derek Burrows has it but can't hold on.
But if there's anybody that's unflappable in such a situation, I think it's the young man we just saw a moment ago. You look right into the face of Elway. This time out of the shotgun. On the run, under pressure, throws it. Has the pass complete at the 39-yard line, and a careless mistake by the Bills. Vance Johnson is on the loose, or is that Nattiel? I'm sorry, it's Ricky Nattiel. Now, did they call that play down, or did it, in fact, go all the way down to the 28-yard line? There is a penalty marker down, and it's going to work against Denver.
And who do you think was putting huge pressure on Elway?
Was his name Bennett by chance?
Oh, you betcha.
CB, Cornelius Bennett.
Number 67, offense, still third down.
It's John Ayers called for holding.
Man who's been around the league 11 years, had a lot of great years, of course, for the San Francisco 49ers, the starting right guard for Denver. And that negates a big gainer right there. The Bills were careless on that reception by Nattiel, and the rookie quickly realized that he hadn't been touched, jumped up and went for big yardage, but it's all brought back on the holding call by Ayers. At the 18-yard line, third down, 16 to go. Elway and the Broncos out of the shotgun against the wind, and here comes the pressure again. Tried to screen over the middle, couldn't get the ball. The intended receiver was Gene Lang.
And that's not a boo. They're screaming Bruce for number 78, Bruce Smith, who is quite a defensive player but has not had the opportunity to show the tremendous skills that he has because he has no one else on that defense to take the pressure off of him. Here it is again, right side of your screen. Bruce Smith, number 78, forces Elway once again to get rid of the ball too soon. And how many times have we seen that this afternoon? People are forcing John Elway to do something before he's ready to do it.
So Haran will have to kick once again into that stout breeze, standing at his own 5 to get this one away at about the 8, and it's blocked. This one may score. The ball is loose in the end zone and through the end zone. A safety. Ralph Riddick, number 40, Rob Riddick, is the man who gets his hands on the football. That is the 8th time this year that they've got a piece. It's the 3rd legitimate block, but they've been doing it all season long. So chalk up a couple of more points for the Buffalo Bills, and we'll take another look.
The Bills practice how to block kicks. Marv Levy has them doing this all throughout the week, extending just like that. And who is it once again that's making the big plays for the Buffalo Bills? Rob Riddick, catching passes, blocking kicks, covering punts. He certainly has to be one of the most valuable players on this football team. And Horan, fortunately, gets involved there. The ball squirts out of the back of the end zone. That could have been 7.
Ricky Porter, who was just activated yesterday, was number 26 in your picture there, who was scrambling, trying to down it in the end zone for a possible touchdown, along with Riddick. But yesterday, Marv was telling us they spent extra time on the field. They sent everybody back in after a quick Saturday morning workout, and they kept the kicking teams out there. And they were working on a couple of things, both in their own field goal protection and in their field goal and punt block.
The reason being is that man, Marv Levy, was one of the first men in the history of the National Football League to hold a special teams coaching position. Dick Vermeil was the first.
He wants everybody to move up because of the wind. You see what the wind is doing to their hair. They know that they're not going to be able to kick that football very far against the wind. So he's trying to get everybody on the receiving team to move up. And here are the deep men now close to the 30-yard line. A free kick, of course, from the 20, and Carlos, the barefoot kicker, will be kicking off.
I'll tell you, special teams, we're finding time and time again, can be the difference. I mean, you can be a better football team in a lot of areas, but there's no substitute for the hustle and the enthusiasm of playing on special teams.
Well, the Bills definitely are inspired, and this crowd, of course, loving it, as you would expect. And look at that kick hang up, only to the 38-yard line. Ball is loose. Bills trying to cover it at the 35. Steve Tasker had it get away from him, and then the scramble was on. Looks like the Bills will retain possession, and on top of the football was Nate Odoms, number 37.
Right there, center of your screen, number 89. That's Steve Tasker trying to avoid a hit. And that was Bruce Klosterman that gets that ball loose. You see the Buffalo Bills converging on that football. They keep it.
Well, Levy and company were correct. They knew the kick wouldn't go very far. They had the opportunity to pick up good field position, but they ended up being fortunate to have the football at their own 35 after the Tasker fumble. Etzelar's in motion as Kelly with a little play-action fake. Remember, he has the wind at his back. Fires for the sideline, complete at the 50-yard line. Andre Reed did a nice little job of getting both feet in bounds for the 15-yard pickup. Harden, the defender for the Broncos.
15-yard pickup, but about a 50-yard throw. You have to have an incredibly strong arm to make a play like this. Look how long this football is in the air to pick up 15 yards. Now watch the toe dance at the line of scrimmage. Great awareness of where he is on the field.
Textbook execution by Andre Reed. We talked in the tease about the bazooka right arm of Kelly, and you could see it on that particular throw. Riddick at midfield with no place to go. Jim Ryan is in there to help pop him down to the artificial surface here in Buffalo. On the 10-minute ticker, updating scores. Pittsburgh now even with Kansas City. No change in Cleveland. Browns cruising right along. Green Bay over Chicago's. The Bears have answered back with a field goal. No change at Minnesota, and Tampa Bay now has the luxury of a 14-point lead. Here it's a 9-0 Buffalo advantage over the Denver Broncos. We have 7:18 to play in the first half. From midfield, Kelly goes to work. Has some pressure. Almost intercepted by Gilbert. He was trying to dump it off, but Mecklenburg had the big push up the middle. Kelly on his back. And Freddie Gilbert had the football in his hands, but couldn't hang on.
The Denver Broncos appear to be turning up their defense a notch. You're going to see the attempt by number 90 right here. That's Freddie Gilbert. He had that ball in his hands, but I don't know if you can call those hands or not. Those defensive ends wear all of that padding and those gloves and so forth. Very hard to catch a football when you have all those mittens on.
So third down. Philly needs 9. 4-man rush. Flips this one out here. It's caught by Burkett. Nowhere near first down yardage as he's immediately dropped by Randy Robbins. Burkett had to get high in the air that time to pull that one down.
And you can see the key to the Bills' success is being able to run the football on first down. Now, the last 2 possessions that they've had the football, they weren't able to run it. They were forced to throw, and they couldn't pick up a first down.
Buffalo with well over 100 yards rushing in the early portion of this ball game, but unable to move the ball on the ground of late. This is John Kidd, the kicker. Driving Harden back to the 6-yard line, and Harden tripped up and down at the 10. Steve Tasker was the man downfield who upended Harden just as he started his move. 40 yards on the punt, 4 yards on the return.
Watch the good hands by number 31, Mike Harden. That ball is jumping around a lot in the air, and he makes that catch, maintains possession, and tackled there at about the 10-yard line once again. Extremely poor field position for the Denver Broncos.
Coming up at halftime on NFL Live, we have an interview with Gordy Lockbaum, the Heisman Trophy candidate out of Holy Cross. Plus, of course, scores and highlights from around the league, and whistles, whistles, whistles down there as everybody's in a scramble at the 10-yard line.
Officials' timeout was called before the snap. Debris coming across the field. Still first up.
That's a new one.
How many times have you heard that one called? Huh?
Debris coming across the field.
What was Debris' number, by the way?
You know what? The poor field position really is taking away John Elway's creativity. He doesn't want to run around back there, and there's the debris. He doesn't want to run around there in his own end, and I think that's limiting what he can do somewhat.
And I just saw a giant trash bag cross the 50, too, as we look at Mobley take a step in motion, and now they hand off to Winder. Winder fights his way out across the 15 to about the 18-yard line. Good effort that time by Sammy Winder. Shane Conlon, Scott Radisek in on the tackle, and it's hard to believe that with only 6 minutes to go in the half, Elway has yet to complete a pass. Remember, coming in, as you looked at that tail of the tape, both quarterbacks over 60% completion mark this season. Elway in the second quarter having to put it up into the wind. And even with the wind at your back, it's tough because the ball has a tendency to sail. Pitch out goes to Winder, being pursued by McNanny. Not much room to go as he pops out of bounds.
As I've watched most of the first half now, the one thing that I see as far as the Denver Broncos are concerned that maybe would be somewhat problematical if you're Dan Reeves is the intensity level of the Broncos. I don't think that they've had the same intensity that Buffalo has had. Buffalo has been buoyed somewhat by the appearance of Cornelius Bennett. They've had that natural high that they're playing on. I think that's what Reeves has to get out of this football team to get back into the ball game.
And of course, you look at those stats, look at the road records. 3 games under 500 on the road for Dan Reeves. They've been brilliant, of course, at Mile High Stadium, but it's been much tougher, as you would expect, on the road. This is Winder once again. Boom. Big hit. The Bills are playing some tough D themselves against the run, as Sammy Winder just found out.
And sometimes when you get in a football game like this and you wait too long, it's often too late.
Right now, 5:25 to play in the first half and the clock running. Bills have generated a dozen first downs today, while Elway and the Broncos have had just 2 thus far in this first half. Right now, they have a second down situation, contrary to what you saw on the graphic. It's second down coming up now from the 25. Nice little quick pass out here on the far sideline to Ricky Mathieu, and he's popped down. That's the first completion today for Elway. Derek Burrows is there with the tackle. Didn't get much, but at least they have completed one for the first time.
And believe me, you need a John Elway arm to complete a pass like that going into this win. Denver fans, don't look for any miracles by John Elway going this way, 60 or 70-yard passes. That's not coming. They're going to have to do this the hard way. They're going to have to block people and run the football hard and make the good, safe pass completion.
Cornelius Bennett is on the field, 3rd and 2, inside handoff. Whistles again are going to stop the play, and look, 55. Bennett was chasing down Steve Sewell just about the time Sewell got the handoff.
False start, 67.
Once again, the penalty goes against John Ayers. That's his second mistake in the last 2 series here against the Broncos.
I would be very concerned if I were Dan Reeves with the sloppy play of a veteran Super Bowl contending football team. That is very unusual of this outfit.
We're in the second quarter in Buffalo. Gary Gerald along with Reggie Rucker. It's a 9-0 Buffalo Bills lead over Denver. The Bills have been able to move the football very effectively in this first half. A touchdown pass to Andre Reed from Kelly, the 1 touchdown, and then a blocked punt resulting in a safety. Now Thiel in motion. Elway out of the shotgun on 3rd down. Watch the throw deep. Has a man, but unable to hang on is Vance Johnson. Well, Elway really cranked it up against the wind that time, and Johnson gave it a valiant effort. Dwight Drain was there, however, for the Bills, and they couldn't make the connection.
And that's an utterly great pass that Elway just threw then. I'm not sure how he ever got that ball that far downfield, and that was very close to being a touchdown.
Had they been able to hook up, Johnson had just the lone defender, and if he could have gathered it in stride, he would have been off to the races. Mike Horan again having to kick against the wind. It's been gusting steadily at around 25 miles an hour. It is very much a factor in this ball game in case you just joined it. Last time, however, he faced the punt. The punt block got to him. Let's see what happens now. Gets the kick off. Looks like be a very good kick under these conditions. Indeed it is. Down to the 22. Bounces back to about the 24-yard line. So Horan did an excellent job that time against the wind, 51 yards. That's a magnificent effort against that breeze, and the Bills will take over, but well back in their own territory when they thought they may have been closer to midfield.
No, when you're going into the wind, that wind is almost a 12th defender. Now you can play closer to the line of scrimmage. That's why Denver hasn't been able to run the ball as effectively as they would like to, because the Bills are all up around the line of scrimmage knowing that John Elway, even John Elway, is going to have trouble throwing into this wind.
So Kelly and the Bills now go to work, leading it 9-0 with Andre Reed in motion. And off comes to Riddick. Gets a nice block. Knocked out of bounds at about the 28-yard line. Pete Metzelaars, the tight end, helping spring the block there before Randy Robbins knocked Riddick out of bounds.
That was Tim Vogler once again. We've seen Vogler, number 65, on a couple of good blocks that have opened the way. And watch number 65 right there. Bury that little guy. And Metzelaars, number 88, you see him with the good seal block inside. And, of course, Riddick, once again, good vision, big pickup.
The Bills have utilized 3 running backs effectively today. Actually 4. Harmon, Byron, Riddick, and Mueller, who had a couple of impressive carries despite the 1 fumble. This is Riddick, number 40. Again, he breaks loose across the 40. Back inside and then popped out of bounds. Excellent effort on the part of Rob Riddick. Carl Mecklenburg is there finally for the Broncos. 25 yards on the game.
You're going to see what the defense sees right here. There's Riddick going right of your screen. Watch the good blocks once again. Byram, good block inside. Now, Riddick really does get a good outside cut right there.
Andre Reed helping him out, too, with a downfield block.
Another angle here. Jim Richard, number 51, pulling. They've gotten good play out of that offensive line, particularly those guards getting out and getting around the corner and blocking downfield.
Rick Dennison had his arms actually around the ball carrier, but couldn't bring him down. This time, it's Harmon. Rick Dennison on the right side. They've been effective. Virtually every run that's gone for yardage has gone to the right today. On that right side of the offensive line, you've got Vogler and Devlin. Of course, the tight end Metzelaars. 3.5 minutes to go here in the first half in Buffalo, with the Bills leading this one by a score of 9-0. Let's update things on the 10-minute ticker. Washington, big winner last week here in Buffalo, now leading Philadelphia. Kansas City with a field goal advantage over Pittsburgh. Indianapolis now stretching it out against San Diego. The Chargers only once beaten this year. Ronnie Harmon up the middle. Now to about the 40-yard line this time. Tony Lilly is there along with Rulon Jones. And one other score to check on. Tampa Bay had been leading comfortably a bit earlier, and they hang on to the 14-point lead in St. Louis. Our score is 9-0 here in Buffalo as we count down toward the 3-minute mark. Buffalo has moved the ball very efficiently nearly all day against the Broncos. In Denver territory at the 40, Kelly now working out of the shotgun. One man back to block. Riddick, as he goes to the left side. Andre Reed, who caught a touchdown pass earlier, pulled that one down at the 35-yard line in the grass with Steve Wilson.
You're going to cover Andre Reed one-on-one, and that situation, with the win at Jim Kelly's back, it's virtually impossible to stop those short passes. You have to respect Kelly's great arm deep, and those receivers have a lot of time because Kelly was given the time at the line of scrimmage by that offensive line, and that offensive line is proving to be the difference maybe in this ball game today.
Andre Reed last week caught 8 balls for 108 yards in the loss at Washington. Reed again in motion. They counter back to the right side. The ball in the hand of Riddick inside the 30 down to the 27-yard line. Rulon Jones is there for the tackle for Denver. But Dan Reeves has got to be a very concerned head coach. It's going to be an interesting halftime chat, I'm sure, with his ball flip.
Good cutback running by Riddick. In ground level action, you'll see it here. Once again, solid blocking. Richter, 51, good block. Leonard Burton, 61, coming around the corner. And Riddick, once again, been a big factor in this ball game.
9-0, our score in Buffalo. Well, on the battle of the heavyweight quarterbacks, let's go back to the tail of the tape for the Top Gun Trophy. And this is surprising, and the wind has certainly had something to do with it. Kelly, 6 out of 9, only 47 yards, and Elway just 1 out of 8. The big surprise on the ground, however, is the fact that you've got 2 rushers for the Bills. Riddick with 65 yards and Harmon with 59. And if you'd have told me coming in that the Bills would have 100 yards period for the game, I think I'd have been surprised. Nothing working this time as they try the right side. Riddick in the grass with Mecklenburg.
But you can imagine what Marv Levy must have said to his team prior to the ball game. Look, we're outmanned in a lot of positions against this team. They are a championship football club. We've got to have a super effort from our offensive line today if we have an opportunity to win. And that effort has to come from the offensive line at the point of attack. And every time you have seen a Bills runner make good yardage, right there has been one of those big offensive linemen making a good block to spring that runner.
3rd down. Need close to 3 yards. Out of the shotgun, Kelly takes the look. Completes the pass to Andre Reed, circling and down at the 20-yard line. So he got the 1st down. Steve Wilson is there with the tackle. Throwing that short, safe pass. He's hooking up with Reed with consistency now.
Those are possession passes that maintain control of the play. You're going to see it here once again. Good pass protection. It's a short drop by Jim Kelly.
Timeout has been taken with 1:02 to play. We'll take another look now.
Here it is now. Look at number 12, center of your screen. The outstanding blocking by the offensive line. There's the one-on-one coverage. And Andre Reed is a cute little receiver who knows how to get open against man-to-man coverage.
Andre Reed comes out of one of those smaller schools, played at Kutztown in Pennsylvania, and sometimes it's difficult to assess the ability when they play the schedules that they play and against the caliber of the opposition. But clearly he's starting to make an impact not only in this game but now in the NFL for the Buffalo Bills.
And of course, the Bills tell us that these are outstanding receivers. They do all of the things that you expect in a wide receiver. They still, though, would like the guy who can run the 4-3.
They don't have the blazing speed. That's the one ingredient they're lacking. Kelly right over the middle. This is Burkett struggling at the 1. He's thrown back to the 2. There was a question for a moment if he might be able to get it into the end zone, but Chris Burkett out of Jackson State.
You've got to appreciate this catch by Burkett. Remember, he came down earlier, was hit right in the throat with a helmet tackle, laid on the ground for a while. Now he's coming back and saying, I've got a lot of courage. I can play in this league. I can catch passes. You're not going to intimidate me. Chris Burkett having a big year for the Bills.
18 yards on that reception. Tony Lilly and Mike Harden finally muscled him down, but Burkett got close to that goal line. They ruled the progress to the 1. And with 52 seconds left here in the half now, the Bills have the opportunity to try to stretch the 9-0 lead that they currently enjoy. Both of those receivers, Reed, who's caught 2 touchdown passes this year, Burkett has caught a pair. Actually, Reed now has 3 with the one earlier in this ball game. Coming out of those smaller schools, we were talking about Reed from Kutztown, and Jackson State, while they turn out some good football players, is not noted as being one of the big major powers by any stretch of the imagination around the country. From the 1-yard line, the call goes to Riddick. He's got the touchdown. It appears, now maybe I'm premature on the call. There's the indication.
The Buffalo Bills are taking the Denver Broncos apart.
Rob Riddick getting his fifth touchdown rushing, has 3 as a pass receiver, led the NFL coming in, and touchdowns scored, and he's just added to the count. Scoreboard has already reflected the conversion attempt. It says 16-0. Well, that conversion attempt isn't quite there yet.
And I think somebody must have went outside and said the Bills are winning because this stadium is just about filled.
There it is. It's now officially 16-0. Final seconds remain in the first half in Buffalo.
A lot of us were from single-parent homes where your mother or your father were out trying to support the family. That's when my grandmother became the most important person in my life. My grandmother was the one who really raised us. She taught us with discipline and love. She's 77 years old now, but she's still providing that love and guidance as a foster grandparent to other young people who need her.
That's why he supports United Way's Foster Grandparents program. Bruce sees to it that these children and their foster grandparents get to enjoy a Bills game. That's when he gets to show off for his grandma by doing his best for the Buffalo Bills.
The United Way gives us all a chance to do our best. Right, Grandma?
You're doing fine, son, but just tuck in your shirt.
United Way. It brings out the best in all of us. This message furnished by the National Football League.
Well, you know that the West Point Glee Club, they're here to sing the national anthem today, and they're in the spirit of things in Buffalo as they were down doing the push-ups for every point scored. Gene Lang awaiting the kick now from Norwood. Broncos with little time, and with the wind pushing it, it goes all the way out through the end zone. No opportunity for the run back. Let's go back now and take a look at that touchdown again.
Once again, it was the offensive line. You can see it ground level, providing the running room for Rob Riddick to go up inside. It wasn't even close. 16-0 lead. 10 plays, 75 yards.
Riddick with the score. Earlier, a 9-yard Kelly touchdown pass to Reed. The blocked punt that went through the end zone for the safety. That accounts for your scoring thus far in this one. Broncos have 49 seconds to go here from their own 20 as they go to work with Sammy Winder. Bills playing some inspired defense, and they've got the crowd into it, and this is exactly what Dan Reeves did not want to happen. He didn't want to have to play catch-up football here in Buffalo. He was very emphatic about that when we spoke with him last evening. Halftime, of course, Bob Costas, Ahmad Rashad, Frank DeFord, Paul McGuire, all on hand for NFL Live. Keep you right up to date on all the activities around the league and this exciting 8th week of play. Time remaining, you see, counting down. Elway going to go up top side. Dumps it off, and even it's difficult against that wind to just throw the simplest little 7-yard pass. Gene Lang, the intended receiver, and the velocity just wasn't there on that throw. Elway has got to be frustrated. He's had 9 passing attempts. The only pass he has completed went for 4 yards. Just wouldn't expect that in this particular situation. Meanwhile, Buffalo, with their ability to run the football today, has generated 17 first downs. The Broncos have had just 2. Out of the shotgun should be the final play of the first half, and Steve Sewell gets nowhere. Just a couple of yards as he tried to circle to the right. Buffalo going to take a timeout, so that will not be the last play of the first half. And strategy here.
I'll tell you why they're doing it. They expect a poor punt. They can possibly get a fair catch, and they can make a free kick. And with the wind at their back, there's a possibility of picking up 3 more points. And it's a very smart and alert move by Marv Levy and the Buffalo Bills coaching staff.
Excellent call and an excellent piece of strategy. Because as we mentioned earlier, on one of the kicks from placement from the 35, the kicker put the ball through the uprights with the wind at his back. So it is definitely within the realm of possibility.
Dan Reeves, you run into a buzzsaw, partner.
The winningest coach in Denver history. Had 10 or more wins the last 3 years, and of course got to the Super Bowl last January when they were defeated by the New York Giants. Horan standing back to punt. His last effort against the wind, however, was a beautiful 51-yarder. See if the Bills are coming. They block another one. Tasker going after it. It will be a safety. He couldn't control it. And for the second time today, the Bills have blocked a punt on Horan. And for the second time today, they pick up a bonus 2 points.
And Marv Levy told us when he was the special teams coach of the Washington Redskins under George Allen back in their Super Bowl year, they blocked 18 kicks under his leadership in that 1 year. And he said, if we don't do anything else, we're going to play great special teams, the Buffalo Bills. Here it is again. He's a 3-step kicker. 1, 2, 3.
Boom.
And it's not enough time. Tasker right in there on the kick. He didn't even have to dive for that. Out of the end zone, another 2 points.
The only conceivable disappointment for Tasker would be the fact that he couldn't control it for an actual touchdown.
He must have surprised himself to be so close to Horan's punt. Gee.
So a pair of safeties, a touchdown on the ground, a touchdown pass from Elway to Reed, from Kelly to Reed, and there's the result. 18-zip. NFL Live continues in a moment. We'll be back right after these messages. Game started. Denver won the toss and elected to take the wind at their back and to kick off. So we start the second half in a similar condition. Buffalo working against the wind, and Kelly with an 18-point lead.
And remember this, in the fourth quarter, when Denver is going to need it the most, they're going to be going directly into that wind.
We'll see how the Bills elect to play it here. They were effective on the ground. They had 2 big turnovers in the first quarter that negated otherwise long drives that could have easily led to further scoring. Byron, the fullback. And again, there's room. Lots of room. All the way out to the 38-yard line. 18 yards on the pickup as Carl Byron just put his head down and plowed straight ahead. Jim Ryan, Tony Lilly finally bring him down.
You're going to see some great blocks right in the line of scrimmage by number 67, Kent Hull. Look at that block. Look at that hole. Byron protecting the football. That is not the way Denver wants to start.
Ball just across the 38-yard line. First down now for Buffalo. Andre Reed, the motion man. The handoff this time to Ronnie Harmon. Looking, nothing working this time at all. Harmon, you could see his head pivoting as he went side to side trying to pick a hole, but finally had to just try to go straight ahead, and Mecklenburg was right there. Also, Ricky Hundley.
By the mere fact that we've not talked about Rulon Jones or Carl Mecklenburg, the 2 all-pro players of the Denver Broncos, by the mere fact that we have not talked a lot about them tells you that they are being controlled by the Buffalo Bills.
Interesting also the fact that on the reverse, the Bills last week gave up 299 yards rushing, and their defense has been effective in stopping the Broncos cold through the first half of this one. Harmon, and now the Broncos muscle up and pull him down short of the 40-yard line. Ryan, he's been in on a lot of activity today out of William and Mary, a 9-year veteran.
The reason why the play was stopped was because of the excellent penetration and defeating the block by number 77, Carl Mecklenburg. If they're going to get back into the game, the great players of the Denver Broncos have to play great.
So third down now for Kelly. Thus far, Buffalo 6 of 10 converting third downs, and you see that the Broncos haven't been able to do it in 7 opportunities through the first half. Just starting second half activity in Buffalo. And Kelly out of the shotgun looking at 4-man rush. Steps up on the run, going to keep it. And he's got a first down. Can you believe that? Doing exactly what we have seen Elway do so many times in the past, and just as effectively. 14 yards for Kelly.
Did John Elway change uniforms, Gary?
I don't think so.
There it is again. Now, this is a good thing. He steps up in the pocket, and he keeps the ball because everybody's covered. A big lane right up the middle. Now, watch him get down. This frustrates defenses. He picks up the first down, and you can't even hit him.
So they're now 7 of 11 in third down conversions. More importantly, the ball at the 47-yard line in Denver territory, and you saw the first down number, 19-2. Mueller to the 45-yard line. Jamie Mueller, the rookie, who had a fumble that stopped one of those early drives, but they came right back. I've let him carry on 2 or 3 other occasions, and he's been effective as well. Simon Fletcher and Mike Harden combining efforts to stop Jamie Mueller. He had a college career rushing average in college of nearly 8 yards. That was at one of those NAIA schools at Benedictine in, I believe, Kansas.
He's a young fellow that's from the Cleveland area. I know about him. They say he runs a 4.45 or 4.540. That's awfully fast for a man his size. He's about 230.
From the 45 in Denver territory, we're looking at Jim Kelly. Backpedal and set up. Fires and completes the pass over the middle to tight end Metzelars at the 40. Metzelars coming into the game with 13 catches on the year, knocked down by Ricky Hundley.
But if you watch what's going on between the Bills and the Denver Broncos, you'll see that the Bills are taking everything to Denver. You don't see Denver making a lot of plays to break up passes, to force the pass, and I think Dan Reeves is more concerned with that. His defense just isn't holding up for him.
Ball at the 40-yard line. Here's another third down situation for Buffalo. 4 minutes gone in the third quarter with the Bills leading 18-0. 4-man pressure and time to throw. Completes it again. Harmon out of the backfield this time. Ronnie Harmon, and the Bills have another first down. Make it 8 out of 12 in terms of conversions now.
Jim Kelly has to be having fun. Let's take a look at what's happening in the secondary for Denver. This is the fabled Joe Collier defense, nickel defense, in which they really shut down people, but that's a good move to turn outside. That receiver has an option depending upon where the defense is. If the defense is outside, he goes inside. If the defense is inside, he goes outside. He went outside that time, first down.
Just short of the 31-yard line. The Bills on the march, and this the opening drive of the second half. They lead by 18. The swing pass comes out to Harmon. Evades one man. Now he has room to work. Inside the 15-yard line down to the 13. And the Bills continue to mix it up, and they continue to move on the Denver Broncos. Boyer finally there with a tackle, but not after an 18-yard gain.
Jim Kelly and the Bills are on fire. They've got this stadium rocking. Watch it now again. Ronnie Harmon picks up the pass. Now, he's an excellent pass receiver. Makes that catch and makes a little juke step at the same time. That takes real good athletic ability and good vision and gets the football up the field. I think they've got Denver on the ropes here.
The numbers for Kelly thus far, as he's now over 100 yards passing, has 1 touchdown pass. It was a 9-yarder to Andre Reed. From the 14. On the ground, Byram to the 11-yard line. It's a Buffalo ball club now that last year only won 4 ball games, but 6 of their losses last year were by 4 or less points, which kind of gives you the indication that they were sneaking up on people. And now with the addition of some quality athletes to go along with Kelly and bolstering the defense, they're putting it together today, and you get the feeling, Reggie, that a team starts to believe, and that confidence generates, takes them to the next level, and they're really making it pay off. The 11-yard line now. This is Riddick, and this time he has got a fellow right in front of him by name of Fletcher. Simon Fletcher and Walt Boyer were right there. There was nothing to be gained as far as the Bills were concerned. So the wide receivers come back onto the field now as we have Trumaine Johnson along with Chris Burkett, and Harmon comes into the backfield as Byram and Metzelars come out.
And you have to like Burkett down here because Burkett is 6 feet 5 inches tall. He has a huge height advantage on any of the Denver secondary people, and he has made a number of catches just utilizing his height in the end zone.
Third down. From the 12-yard line. Inside handoff goes to Riddick, and there's nothing working. Stopped very effectively that time by Rick Dennison, inside linebacker. So now the field goal team will come on, and while it won't be a particularly long field goal, again, keep in mind the stiff westerly breezes. And so the field goal attempt by Scott Norwood, who is 4 out of 6 on the year, is going to be going right into the teeth of the wind. It'll be about a 30-yard attempt. We'll have an opportunity to get a good end zone look here now. As John Kidd will handle the football and spot it at the 20-yard line for the 30-yard field goal attempt. So the lead is now stretched out to a full 21-point advantage. Buffalo in command.
Welcome new Ford Festiva to the street. Quick, maneuverable, with 42 standard features and a 6-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty.
It's so neat, complete, the words on the street. It's a Ford, it's a Festiva. It's a Ford, it's a Festiva. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Until 20 years ago, the Southern Pacific Railroad ran on trainloads of paper and pencils.
We got smart and we said we need a computer to keep track of where all these cars are going. We sat side by side, IBM and SP, to take those rail operations and put it into computer automation. We program into the computer where all these cars are destined. So the computer knows where they're going from. There's the train. Well, we've jumped in the 21st century. And it's still the same old track, but we just do it better. We do it better.
Lafitte, Louisiana and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Lafitte means flat-bottom boat racing and a Cajun feast that'll set your mouth on fire. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer, cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place, an Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by IBM.
Gary Gerald along with Reggie Rucker in Buffalo, where the Bills are enjoying an unexpected 21-0 lead over the Denver Broncos. And Norwood, who just hit the 30-yard field goal into the wind, will now kick off into the wind. In the deep spots, Bell and Lang. Bell on the right side, and they're standing up at the 12-yard line. Squiver down the middle, and handling on the near side is Gene Lang. Lang across the 25, and that's about it as he gets to the 27 or possibly 28-yard line. And Elway, who's had little success today, now has the wind at his back, trailing by 3 touchdowns.
If the Broncos are going to do anything, they better get serious right now. This is an important drive. The Broncos have to send a message to the Bills that says, no, we are going to score. And the only way you can do that is you got to get good play up front. You got to pass, block for Elway, and those people on the outside have to get downfield and make some big plays.
Johnson to the near side. Jackson on the far side, and Elway looking down the middle. Being pressured out of the pocket and on the run. Throws it. Great reception by Johnson at the 42-yard line. He really had to get up there to get that one, and Johnson, who stands only 5'11", went high, and Elway did a good job of improvising for the 15-yard pickup.
And that's the statement that I'm talking about. Watch Vance Johnson leap up in the air. This is poorly timed, but he hangs in the air. Watch it. He gets up in there and just hangs there. Good body control, makes the catch. That's a tough catch to make, holds on to it. That's what they need to get going.
Only the third first down of the day for Denver, and as you saw, the second reception for Elway, who's going deep. Johnson at the 13 has the football. The play is still alive. He could score, but he won't. He's pulled down at the 6-yard line. So they come right back, and just that quickly behind the arm of John Elway, the Broncos trying to come off the ropes.
And there's no substitute for just the outright speed of Vance Johnson and all the other sprinters they have on the football field. Elway lets it go. Actually, it wasn't such a good pass by Elway. It was good enough for the completion. But had John Elway laid this ball on the outside, this is 6 points, no question about it.
Derek Burrows was the defender, and Johnson had to adjust to get to the ball, but Burrows was careless and didn't down him, and they picked up an extra 4 yards. Down close to the 6-yard line now. Broncos trying to get their first score of the afternoon. They trail 21-0. The pitch out. Comes out wide. Winder trying to smell out the end zone, and he's there. Sammy Winder has the touchdown. From 6 yards out, and just that quickly, they move right the length of the field and get on the board, and there's a semi-sigh of relief, I think, from a head coach. You said that drive would be so important, and they've capitalized.
Big leg drive all the way. Elway showed why he is capable of getting up off the canvas, as we say, and delivering a knockout punch. In this case, it was a touchdown. Here it is now. This is a good move by Winder, who waits. See, he waits now for that lane to develop, gets up inside, reaches the goal line. Touchdown.
Kubiak to hold, Carlos the barefooter to kick. There it is, right through the middle. So the Broncos have answered back, and we have a 21-7 ball game in Buffalo. Buffalo on top.
We're not a company.
But no company has more pride in what they do.
Or more pride in how well they do it.
We offer you a meaningful and fulfilling future.
One that goes far beyond the ordinary.
One that brings with it the respect and admiration of Americans everywhere.
We're not a company.
We're your country.
We're the Air Force.
The Marines.
The Army.
The Navy.
We're the Armed Forces.
It's a great place to start.
Green Bay, Wisconsin, 20 below. The last place you'd want to be with the cold. Unless you're the Green Bay Packer backers. So we asked them to try Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine.
That stuff just cleared out my head.
Should have found it a long time ago. Got rid of my aches and pains.
Straight up my Ernie nose. Alka-Seltzer Plus, that's all I ever needed.
8 of every 10 Packer backers who tried it switched to Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. Fast, effective relief for tough winter colds.
Boys riding the streets like trails and roads. We're carrying people and hauling loads. When tough men need tough trucks and goods not enough. America's truck is built for tough.
The big Ford pickups for '88 with new power, luxury interiors, popular features, tough trucks that have been #1 for 10 straight years. Now get $500 cash bonus on all new F-Series pickups with manual transmission. America's favorite pastime returns to NBC as the nation's top rollers battle it out for Bowler of the Year honors. Join Jay Randolph and Hall of Famer Earl Anthony for the PBA Fall Tour next Saturday on NBC.
Talk about intensity in head coaches. You can see it in the face of Dan Reeves. He watches now as the Broncos will kick off after marching down the field 72 yards in just 3 plays to get on the scoreboard at long last. Another kickoff with the wind behind the kicker, sailing far out of the end zone. Reggie, you started your career down in Dallas, and of course Dan Reeves was part of that organization at that time before he became a coach. You know him well.
Yes, and I can tell you, he sat through enough meetings with Tom Landry when the Cowboys weren't playing well to know what you have to do to get your team fired up. Literally, I think Dan Reeves was embarrassed by the way the Denver Broncos played in that first half. Embarrassing the organization, themselves, and the people who support this organization. And I'll tell you, if there's anything that will get to a bunch of athletes, it's telling them something like that.
So from the 20-yard line now, Buffalo leading 20-7. It's the football and watch the Bronco defensive unit and see how they respond. Handoff goes outside to Riddick. Riddick is hammered down at about the 22-yard line. Ricky Hundley with good pursuit across the way along with Harden.
But telling them they're embarrassing is one thing, but they better get somebody on the perimeter to stop the Buffalo Bills, because the Bills are going to keep going back to that off tackle and that sweep until Denver stops it.
Denver gave up just 63 yards rushing last week against Detroit. Of course, Detroit was playing catch-up. The Bills, we mentioned, ran for only 21 yards last week. Today, they're up there knocking on the 200-yard rushing mark right now as they look at 2nd and 6 behind Kelly. And again, it's Riddick, and look who's there. On top of him this time, Mecklenburg. Excellent penetration. There's the Pro Bowler at work, and you all saw him with penetration that time, really doing a number on the Bills.
Okay, this is what you have to do when you want to just stop the run. Get into the backfield, get some penetration, get off of blocks, and make tackles like that. And then you get yourself a favorable defensive posture.
Third down. Ball still at the 20-yard line, unable to generate anything in the last 2 attempts. The Bills. Kelly works out of the shotgun. Little shuttle pass to Riddick inside across the 25 of the 27-yard line. First time we've seen that look from the Bills today.
And a shuttle pass is no more than an option play inside. They were trying to catch Denver looking the other way. They've shown Denver just about everything in their grab bag, but the Broncos had a little more intensity on that defensive series. Now, Buffalo is going to have to gear it up because I think that Denver feels if they do any scoring, they're going to have to do it all in this quarter.
Kidd faces the wind in a punting situation for the first time now. He gets his kickoff. Harden has to circle all the way back to the 26-yard line. At the 30, you lose one man and down at the 33. So a pretty good effort against the wind for the first time, John Kidd. And now the Broncos behind Elway, who went the length of the field in just 3 plays a moment ago, will try it again. The newest weapon in the pass rush arsenal of the Buffalo Bills. That's Cornelius Bennett in his first NFL game. And now with Denver having to come from behind, I guess there's a luxury in knowing that he's going to go in there and try to penetrate and chase Elway.
The Bills know that Denver is going to throw the football with the win. It's 21-7. They've got 2 touchdowns to go before they can pull even again. And they want Bennett in there rushing or flushing Elway out of the pocket.
Winder and Lang in the backfield. Jackson in motion now as Elway sets the club and he backpedals ready to throw. Here comes Bennett from the Bills going deep down the left side. The battle is on, and turning and falling. The intended receiver was Vance Johnson. Kelso and Odoms were trying to go stride for stride, and you see the reaction back there of the defenders. They were all clamoring for a flag, and nobody got one.
With the wind at Elway's back, his range is probably about 75 or 80 yards. Let's see what happens here. They're all right there. They're all right there. I'll tell you what. There's a little push right there by number 82, Vance Johnson, if anything.
Well, I'm just looking. That ball went 35, 45, about 52 from the line of scrimmage, plus a few more. So he put that one up for well over 55, near 60 yards. Line of scrimmage is the 33-yard line. 2nd and 10 now for Elway.
Here comes Bennett.
Chased by Bennett. He's able to elude the pressure, fires, but this one's out of bounds across the way.
To see what an impact Bennett has, I mean, he forced Elway to do something he didn't want to do. He was after Elway so fast, that's one linebacker, John Elway, isn't going to be able to outrun. And he caused Elway to throw the football running left, which is very difficult to do for a right-hander, and he had to throw it high and just get rid of it.
The first linebacker ever to win the Lombardi Trophy as a collegian out of Alabama. The Bills paid a heavy price. They gave up an 88 draft choice #1 and a 1st and 2nd and 89. Also Greg Bell. 3rd and 10. 4 wide receivers now for Elway. Remember, the wind's at his back. Here come the Bills. He has time, but he can't complete the pass. Sewell was 1 man short. The tight end K was a little bit deeper. So with a 3rd and 10, the Bills defense now gets a resounding standing ovation in Buffalo.
And look at Bennett. Look at Bennett. Urge the crowd on. He's learning fast in this league.
Well, the Bills fans have got a new hero. There's no question about that. So the kicking situation for Mike Horan.
See if he has his mouth open. Well, we didn't get a chance. Usually you can tell how tired an athlete is.
It's been 10 months since he's been out there on the football field in actual contact. You see the deep man, Pitts, waiting, standing back at his own 25. They blocked 2 of them today. No pressure this time, and not a real good kick. Pitts will have the run back from the 27. Across the 40, and down at the 44-yard line. They may rule him down back at the 41 or 42. 3.5 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. It's Buffalo by 14 over Denver. And when we come back, it'll be the Bills with the football. 3rd quarter scores on the 10-minute ticker around the league. Cleveland cruising, Pittsburgh leading Kansas City, and Washington over Philly by just 4. Other games, and a big one, Indianapolis leading San Diego, and Green Bay continues to lead Chicago. Tampa Bay romping against St. Louis. Here, the Broncos have gotten back with a touchdown, but still are 2 TDs behind the Buffalo Bills.
I understand that Eric Dickerson in that game gained over 100 yards in 1 half.
103 or 4 yards on 24 carries in that first half. Welcome to Indianapolis, huh? Wow. Andre Reed in motion for Keller. Fake pitch out, counters back to the near side, tried to go to the tight end Metzelar, is unable to do so. Good push that time by Simon Fletcher with the pressure for the Broncos second defense is the word I'm trying to spit out, and having a hard time doing it.
And you didn't even eat anything at halftime.
That's right. 3:23 to go. Cleveland has pushed it to 35-3.
Atlanta's not a good football team.
They're having their problems. Browns, of course, had their difficulties losing in overtime in San Diego last week in a big ball game. On the ground, up the middle, and trying to find some running room is Ronnie Harmon, and there's not an awful lot working. You feel that the Broncos defensive unit now is starting to turn things around a little bit more after that opening drive when the Bills got the field goal to start the second half.
They really are. And I'll go ahead.
We're going to go back here on this panel where we did get but a quick look at Green Bay and Chicago. Green Bay leading that one 21-13, and Minnesota giving the Raiders a real tough time. Ball just short of the 40-yard line now with 3:18 to play third quarter in Buffalo, where the Bills enjoy a 14-point lead. Buffalo with the football. Kelly out of the shotgun. Fires incomplete. This one intended for Burkett. Again having to throw against the breeze, and it just has been steady all game long at about 25 miles per hour.
Well, they can thank Rulon Jones for that also, because he had a hand in hurrying the throw from Kelly. I'll tell you something else. I'm going to make a prediction. All right? Denver's going to get the football, and they're going to have the win at their back. If they're going to win this football game, they've got to get another score in the third quarter. If they don't get another score in the third quarter, I don't think they have a chance to win.
John Kidd back at his own 25. Here comes the Denver rush. He better hurry. Oh, he barely got that off. It's not a good kick. It takes a bounce, however, for the Bills, and he picks up an extra 7 yards, and it goes to about the 29-yard line. He barely got it away. There was a lot of pressure up the middle that time. Only 31 yards into the win. Second half of today's big doubleheader, of course, is coming up. Most of you are going to be seeing the #1 ranked passer, Dan Marino, going head-to-head with Boomer Esiason, who threw for close to 400 yards and a couple of touchdowns last week. That'll be Miami against Cincinnati. Others will see the Oilers and the 49ers. That's another matchup of division leaders. At the 29-yard line, 3 minutes and 3 seconds for Elway to capitalize on the factor that the wind is at his back. Mitchell, the tight end, now in motion. Elway has a man. Hey, midfield couldn't hang on. Talley may have got a fingertip on it out there as the right outside linebacker dropped back and was protected.
Elway is going to have to go all the way with K, because Orson Mobley, the backup tight end, the big fellow who's about 265 pounds, has injured his ankle, and I don't think he'll return.
That's the indication that we have. So that's our first look just a moment ago at Bobby Mitchell, who can double as either a fullback or as a tight end.
Two wide receivers now. Mateel at the bottom. Big speed.
Inside handoff. Sewell sweeping to the left. No place to go as he's hit hard at the 30-yard line. Odoms and one of the linebackers over on the far side collided. It was Talley. There's Conlon that comes over, who helped out on the stop, and there's a rookie that's going to help this ball club defensively as well.
Here's an unusual situation that you find in the third quarter. I'm surprised that Elway ran that football, because that uses up time on that clock. It's very valuable. They must throw the football on almost every down, so that if it isn't complete, it's incomplete, the clock stops, and they save time.
You saw Talley on the sideline favoring that knee. 3rd and 9 for Elway. Broncos trailing 21-7, late third quarter. Bennett trying to flush him out of the pocket, does so, being chased by Smirlis and out of bounds for the loss. Cornelius Bennett was coming from the left, Smirlis up the middle, and Smirlis ended up forcing him out of bounds.
Bennett is the reason why Elway went left. He felt the pressure of Bennett coming around the corner. It was going to be another second before Bennett was going to be able to get to him. Elway went left, was unable to throw the football because he's right-handed, and couldn't turn to throw the ball back down the field.
And that counts as a sack, the first by the Buffalo Bills against Elway today. And who had 2 kicks blocked, both when he was kicking into the wind in the first half. Both resulted in safety. Now stands back at his own 7-yard line. Stretched out, and the Bills were going after another one. Didn't get it. Fair catch called for by Pitts at the 38-yard line. It is really interesting to watch that special team work, having seen 2 blocks already in this game. But when you realize they've got a piece of 9 kicks this season, it really says something about the effectiveness that Marv Levy has this group performing.
I'm sure they've got Mike Horan shaking like leaves on a tree. Every time he has to punt that football, he's seeing 3, 4, 5 people in his face.
He hadn't had until today, and he's had 2 blocked cleanly today, and they almost got to that last one. Bills from their own 38-yard line. On the ground, straight ahead and trying to pop out to the right side is Harmon. And the Broncos will have nothing to do with that. Randy Robbins and Simon Fletcher with the tackle.
Of course, Jim Kelly right now is interested in just getting out of this third quarter. Run the football.
2-21 against the premier teams in the NFL over the last 3.5 years. But right now, they've got a Super Bowl team on the ropes. Saw the problem that Talley had in that collision a bit earlier. And he's being worked on here on the near sideline. This is Riddick this time. He turns the corner. Excellent effort as he got well across midfield, tight-roped the sidelines, and has plenty of yardage, I believe, for the first down, depending whether or not he stepped out of bounds. No, he's got the first down easily. 13 yards on the pickup.
With all of the big-name stars on this field today, Elway, Kelly, and Bennett, is there any question in your mind, Gary, that this has been the most valuable player on the field today? He has done it all.
Indeed, he has. Excellent effort, and he's pushing the rush totals up, and we'll try to check on that for you for Rob Riddick. And, of course, Harmon had a lot of yards earlier. He's now up to 76 yards on the afternoon. He was also instrumental in blocking one of those punts. Jamie Mueller, the rookie. Gets about to the 44, maybe 45, where he's thrown back. Ricky Hunley with the tackle. Time running out as we're down to the final minute now of the third quarter. Buffalo Bills trying to even their record at 4-4 as we look at the rookie running back Jamie Mueller come off to the near sideline, and Carl Byram has gone back in to replace him now in the backfield.
And you've been having some lean years such as the Buffalo Bills have had, and you've got a great quarterback. The one thing you can do to take pressure off him is to run the football and run it effectively. The Bills have done that. They have kept Jim Kelly out of must-pass situations, and that's why they're ahead.
Second down and 8. Kelly with a rollout move. Second time we've seen that today, and this time he has to drop it down as Hunley was coming on the fly. And you know, another thing, we mentioned there was concern for the Bills early because of the injury to Will Wolford at left tackle. And we really haven't pointed out the fact that Leonard Burton has got to be one of those guys responsible for helping protect Kelly and to open the holes for the running game, even though most of the running has gone to the right side. Well, we're coming down, and the last couple of ticks on the clock to end the third quarter. And at the end of the third quarter in Buffalo, our score 21-7 with the Bills on top. We'll be right back after these messages now from Jordan, the special teams coach, alongside head coach Marv Levy. Levy with a headset to Haven there on the right side of the screen. He is the man who is instrumental in helping Levy determine the schemes that have resulted in those 2 blocked punts and a pair of safeties that very easily could have been touchdowns. The Broncos are fortunate they're not behind by more than 14. Kelly looking down the far side here on the right, overthrowing Trumaine Johnson. Check the stats now in the third quarter, or after 3 quarters of play. And again, that rushing total is amazing. And the time of possession you see flashing. Broncos have had the ball for just over 13 minutes, to almost 32 minutes to Buffalo. Total yards, 368 to 125. Would have never believed it coming in.
And do you realize last week the Bills had only 21 yards rushing, 200 more this week.
Harden waiting for the punt, and this one sails over his head and hits in the end zone. So the wind behind him, Don Kidd knocks it through the end zone, and we'll have the Broncos now working against the wind, still down by 14.
Yesterday, with all the skill and innovation of today, you couldn't lose. Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Carry the caring card.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you. Each deduct. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
You want anything?
How about a light?
Oh, Bob, could you make that a Bud Light?
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Did you see? No. Did you?
No. Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Today's game is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Castrol, the motor oil engineered for today's smaller cars.
Along with Reggie Rucker, I'm Gary Gerald. We're in Buffalo, where the Bills are leading the Broncos surprisingly 21-7. Just into the fourth quarter now, and Elway goes to work against the wind. He's completed only 3 passes today. There's number 4. Johnson gets out to about the 23 or 4 yard line before he's tripped up by Fred Smerlas. Cornelius Bennett seeing his first NFL action today. He's been a force, particularly in this pass rush situation.
And I think he's played more than I thought he would play. Watch him here. He'll probably overrun this. He should just take it, break down a little bit, and that's what he does. He overruns the receiver a little bit, but he's so hyped up, he knows what he's going to do.
Elway is now 4 for 16 as he has Bobby Mitchell in motion. Mitchell playing for the injured Mobley, who will not see any further action today. And this one overthrown. Now, it's really tough. I mean, not only battling the wind, but Elway, a man who can throw off 1 foot or on the run, but when you've got to use the strength to get through the wind, that makes it tougher, doesn't it, for the quarterback?
Certainly. They'll want Elway to set up strong in the pocket, have a good foundation, step forward, step strongly toward that receiver, and then deliver that ball, because as you can see, the wind is a big factor throwing the football this way.
That little light streamer doesn't really give you the indication. The indication is the fact that you can see those uprights constantly moving. Denver has yet to convert on a 3rd down situation today, and Elway wants a timeout. Buffalo defense pumped up, and Elway looking across, surveying the scene, takes the timeout. So we'll come back and we'll see if Elway can get the first down off a 3rd down situation of the afternoon.
I don't know. What are you going to do?
I don't know.
I'd go to college.
Me too.
If I had the money.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
I don't know. What are you going to do?
You don't want those fries.
What are you going to do, Jack? Eat your way to college?
Hey, really? I'm going to college on the new GI Bill. You serve full-time in the armed forces or part-time in the reserves, and you earn a lot of money for tuition.
The GI Bill.
Are you using that pickle?
For young men and women in the armed forces, it's a great place to start. See a local military recruiter.
If you ever thought you had to give up comfort to get a close shave, think again. Norelco puts close and comfortable right in the palm of your hand with a revolutionary system that shaves skin close in a way that's incredibly comfortable. With a patented lift and cut system that lifts each hair so it's possible to shave skin close without the blades even touching the skin. A shaver that defies logic gives you a shave that defies belief. Norelco Rotatract, where close and comfortable come face to face.
A lot of brewers use ordinary tap water to make their beer. Not Coors. Pure and natural. Yeah. Coors is the one.
Birdie. In the background on the bench, that's Big Orson Mobley, the tight end, all 256 pounds. He has an injured ankle. Here's the story on the 3rd down conversions. Elway yet to convert. This will be the 10th opportunity of the afternoon. Certainly a big one for the Broncos. Pressured, down he goes. Bruce Smith. 2 years ago, he was in Outland Trophy winner was the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Last year had 15 sacks, right up there with the leaders, and that is his second sack, or the second sack of the day, of John Elway.
And already he's benefited by Bennett being on the left side, Bruce Smith coming on the right side. Now they've got a double-barreled attack in their pass rushing game, and I think you're going to see the results as the Bills continue on with their play this year.
Well, that was a great picture, as you really saw how he battled through the defenders to make that sack. Well, here's Mr. Horan. Mike has not had the best of days in this particular situation against the wind. He's had 2 blocks, no pressure this time, but a very short kick against the wind. Nobody going to touch this one, and it's going to roll dead well short of the 50-yard line. So the Bills will start from the Denver 48. A 31-yard kick into the wind. A minute and a half gone in the fourth quarter. Kelly has been steady and effective. He's had a great running game, particularly in the first half today. He threw 1 touchdown pass to Andre Reed. He got a touchdown run from Riddick of just 1 yard. 30-yard field goal from Norwood, and the 2 block punts that both resulted in safeties. Kind of an unusual scoring combination for the 21 points. He's 12 of 19 on the day, 413 yards. Inside handoff, and now coming to the right, that man Riddick. No place to go this time as he is upended. Simon Fletcher holding the corner very nicely.
The Bills haven't been in this position often. In the fourth quarter, having a 2-touchdown lead, so there's something here that they have to deal with that they aren't accustomed to, and that is protect the football. You cannot afford now to turn the football over to the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are a ball-hawking kind of a defense. They have great skills when it comes to taking the ball away from you, and Buffalo has to protect it.
Just 203 yards more on the ground this week than a week ago. An astounding number for the Bills. Kelly lofting it down the middle. Andre Reed can't hang on at the 10-yard line. He stretched out, was fully extended. The ball was on his hands. He had the defense beat clearly, but he couldn't make the reception.
And even with the wind at your back, the wind can work against you, because Kelly just lost the ball, but the wind takes the ball and propels it even beyond the outstretched arms of Andre Reed. Good attempt, though.
Oh, he made an excellent stab at trying to come up with that one. Couldn't quite do it. So now it's 3rd down for the Bills. 46-yard line in Denver territory. 12:40 to go in the ball game. On the far side, overthrowing Reed. Wilson, the defender over there that time against Andre. And so the Bills unable to come up with a first down. Will send John Kidd on now, and he'll try to punch one out in the corner.
That was a pass that Jim Kelly should have hit that time. He had good protection. The receiver was open. Overthrew the football to the outside.
Kelly now 12 of 21 on the afternoon as Kidd gets his kickoff. Straight up in the air. It's high. Trying to hang it up down there around the 10. The wind pushes it. Gets the roll. Nope, now it just kind of dies at about the 13-yard line. Bouncing around to touch somebody, but it rolls actually dead at the 9. Good effort that time by Kidd, who hung it up for 36 yards. Denver in trouble in Buffalo. Soon we build it as the battle of the heavyweight quarterbacks, and it would seem that John Elway's on the ropes right now with the Broncos.
Yeah, but I think Dan Marino could knock both these guys out.
Indeed. Let's take a look now at the tail of the tape. The battle for the Top Gun trophy. You see the numbers on the afternoon for the respective quarterbacks. Machine Gun Kelly and Top Gun Elway. On the ground, the Broncos trying to come out of a hole and get out only close to the 10-yard line as Scott Radisek is there on that tackle. Clock will very shortly become a definite factor, having to go against the wind and having to battle the clock as we're down now to 12 minutes and 2 seconds to go in the football game.
Cornelius Bennett has not played football since, what, the Sugar Bowl in January or something like that? I cannot believe that he is on the football field as much as he is.
There you get a look at the heralded rookie. Figured in the Anthony Dickerson deal a week ago. Elway sets up camp back at the 1. Now the scramble is on, and he dives out to about the 13-yard line. They need to get out close to the 20 to get to the first down. We'll update some activity now as we check the 10-minute ticker. Still Washington by 4. Kansas City with a couple of Nick Lowry field goals now in the lead. Cleveland is cruising. Kozar with 2 touchdown passes there. Ernest Biner has scored 3, incidentally. And look at San Diego. Behind Fouch to Lionel James, they've come back to tie it up against Indianapolis. Tampa Bay and St. Louis making a rally here in the fourth quarter of that ball game. Here in Buffalo, it's 21-7. The Bills leading Denver. Elway out of the shotgun, and here comes the blitz. Sewell, I don't think, ever saw the football coming. The pressure on Elway, and as Sewell turned around, there is a penalty marker down, however. As Sewell turned around, the ball was already by. You see the reaction from Denver. John Ayers would indicate that this call is going to go against Buffalo. Dick Jorgensen.
12 men on the field. Defense, 5 yards, still third down.
12 men in the field gives you a little unfair advantage.
Yeah, I think you can rush the quarterback with a couple of extra guys.
Ball game started with the Bills making 2 big drives in the first quarter that both resulted in turnovers and no points. But then they punched out the 21-0 lead. Now on top 21-7, and the Broncos trying to hang on here and get something going in this fourth quarter. Elway straight ahead, just across the 20. Looks like he'll have just enough for the first down. By design. Now, last week he ran for a couple of scores in the shutout victory that the Broncos enjoyed against Detroit.
So normally when you play against Elway and you're covering people downfield, he does incredible things like throw the ball 60 or 70 yards across the field. But the Buffalo defenders now can cover the receivers tighter because they know that Elway cannot get the ball that far downfield into this strong wind.
Defensively on the corners, the rookie Odoms and Derek Burrows. Mitchell in motion for Elway. Against the wind and incomplete at the 38-yard line. Clarence Kay, the tight end, the intended receiver. Shane Conlon, the rookie outside linebacker. Bills get not only Cornelius Bennett, but of course have had Shane Conlon, who got into camp late. And they were 2 of the best linebackers anywhere in the country last year. And what a tremendous boost to this defensive crew here in Buffalo.
The building blocks are in place for a solid defense here in Buffalo for a long time to come.
Second down and 10. Elway retreats, sets up the screen, and Sewell can't hang on. Pressure that time from Conlon, who was also coming up front. Elway trying to set up the screen, but unable to do so. Look at the numbers for John Elway. Just 4 of 19, 74 yards.
Has to be a frustrating evening for Elway. He's been moving too much. He hasn't been able to set himself. Great pressure on him.
Fewest number of passes in any game this year. He had completed 16. He's completed just 4 this afternoon. Right over the middle, there's number 5, Kay, out at the 31-yard line. That'll be good for the first down. Nate Odoms with the tackle, but Elway set up strong and drilled that one for 11 yards to Clarence Kay.
Excellent field awareness by Kay. He went down a couple of yards past the first down marker and turned in and remained there as Elway spotted him. That's one of the best passes, incidentally, that we have seen into the wind today.
The last time that John Elway completed less than 10 passes in a game was in early season last year. He was 7 of 12 against Philadelphia. He's now completed 5 and is looking for number 6. And again, Kay is the man at the 41-yard line. Good pop defensively that time by Scott Radisek, number 97, but Kay hung on very nicely, and that's going to be very close to a first down as well.
Well, the shortest distance is a straight line. Elway sending Kay straight down the field, and he's throwing straight down the field. It's the best pass, and look at the hit by number 97, Radisek.
Radisek, who was acquired on waivers out of Kansas City, putting some muscle behind that hit. Inside handoff on the ground. Steve Sewell, but just not much working. McNanny and Smurlus teaming up there for the tackle for Buffalo.
I'm not sure if John Elway can afford to run the football, Gary. He has to score 2 touchdowns. He's into this horrendous win. He's had great pressure on him from Bennett and Smith all day long, and he's going to have to throw the football whether he wants to or not on virtually every down.
Just inside 9 minutes to go now. We have the clock stopped as they bring the chains on for the measurement to see whether or not Kay got the first down yardage, and by the nose of the football, it's there. That's Cornelius Bennett, number 55, in his first NFL game, and with the Bills enjoying the early luxury of a 3-touchdown lead, he has been in greatly helping the pass rush with his amazing, astounding quickness. So from the 42, Elway has picked up the first down, still in his own territory. 8:40 to play in the ball game, and trailing 21-7. He has that quick strike capability. Let's see as he sets up now. Plenty of protection. Again, Kay, this time at the 49-yard line. So 3 consecutive completions to Clarence Kay before Radisek and Conlon could react and make the tackle. And Elway is moving his ball club, and the clock moves as well.
Having to execute a pass offense like this for Elway is unusual because he likes the big play. He wants to hit you with the quick strike. But now he has to be patient. He has to throw the ball 7 and 8 yards. And it's a longer way to get it done, but he has to have the discipline to do that.
From the 49, Kay with 3 receptions consecutively. Here's the pitch back to Elway on the flea flicker. Flip it out here on the side. Incomplete, intended for Jackson. Dwight Drain was the man who made the hit on Mark Jackson.
I don't think that's a good play. That's just not a good play.
And why not?
You don't run a flea flicker to throw a 2-yard pass. And if you're going to run the flea flicker, you need to throw the ball deep. This play is designed to surprise the defense and throw the touchdown pass. Now, there's no way Elway is going to be able to throw this ball 40 or 50 yards into this win. So he throws a 2-yard pass, and I think that's a wasted down.
Third down. Elway needs 3 to keep the drive moving. He's near midfield. Inside shovel pass to Lang. Lang gets the first down into Buffalo territory at the 46. Bennett on the tackle.
Lang for the first down.
A lot of things that an athlete brings to the game, but there's some things you can't teach. Let's watch number 55, Bennett, react to this play, and look how quickly he's back on the ball carrier.
He was 5 yards away from the ball carrier when that initial contact was made, and then he just popped, was right there to finish him off. At the 45, first down, the fake in trouble. He avoids Bennett and then throws and completes the pass. Nice catch out of the backfield by Gene Lang, and a good effort by Elway as Bennett was right there, and you see Bennett's reaction because he thought he had a sack.
Watch his mouth. I promise you he's got his mouth wide open. He has to be tired. Now he's on Elway. Watch, left side of your screen. Flash. He's on Elway before Elway has even set up. That's impossible. I think Elway needs to vary his cadence a little bit because Bennett is getting a jump on him.
43-yard line. Denver with the football in Buffalo territory, trailing by 14. Elway looks off one man, now goes deep and completes the pass to Johnson at the 33-yard line. Johnson pulls it in. Eric Burrows is there to defend for the Bills, but Elway patiently moving his ball club has another first down. The clock continuing to run now at 6:52 after that 11-yard pickup. Vance Johnson on the sideline, number 82.
We talked about that extraordinary individual brilliance by Elway. We're beginning to see it now. With all the pressure that he's getting from the Bills and with the wind conditions, he is now bringing the Broncos back.
Elway looking on the right side. Ricky Nattiel at the 19-yard line and down at the 15. Nattiel came on to replace Johnson, who may have been shaken up in the last play. And Nattiel, the fine rookie, pulled that one in. And an 18-yard pickup.
Watch it now. He just turns loose that howitzer of his. Nattiel makes certain of the catch using his body to prevent the ball from getting away from him. And if he scores here and scores quickly enough, look out.
Johnson is back in the lineup now for Denver. From the 15-yard line, first down, Mitchell in motion. 4-man rush, and Elway right over the middle. Touchdown! Oh, what a hit. Johnson held on, and he was hammered. Mark Kelso was there, and Elway with a 15-yard bullet against the wind right down the middle.
Folks, if you want to know what this is like, think in terms of running out into the street and looking backwards, because that's exactly what happens when you run into the middle of the field in the National Football League. The receiver's looking one way, he's concentrating on the catch, and then, wow, look at the hit by Burrows. And I'll tell you what, Vance Johnson held on. That's the greatest feeling you can have as a wide receiver.
They've got a whistle. You saw something come through the frame of the picture there. Somebody threw something down onto the field from the stands, and Carlos reacted very nicely. It looked like a little toy football or something, play football that somebody flipped down there out of the stands. Of course, that brings to mind the famous snowball incident of a couple of years ago in Denver on one of those Monday night games against the 49ers.
That was an impressive drive.
Yes, indeed it was. And you talked about the patience necessary against the wind and with the clock ticking down. And Elway executed a masterful drive right there. The all-important conversion attempt for Rich Carlos. No problem there as he nails it through. So we've got 5 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Elway has moved the Broncos down the field to a second touchdown, and you see the separation now of 7 points. And we've got a different ball game on our hands right now.
The entire passing strategy changed on that drive. Elway concentrated on the hook patterns, and the patterns 9-10 yards right over the middle. Passes that could be completed. Now, they may not have been spectacular as what he's accustomed to, but they were successful. That's what happens to a quarterback right there. A lot of the times he never sees the completion.
Well, he drilled it into Vance Johnson's everlasting credit, how he hung on after that hit from Mark Kelso. That amazes me. Johnson getting his 4th touchdown reception of the year. And you see the numbers now for Elway. And remember, it wasn't that long ago, we were 3 for 15 in this category, and now he's 12 for 28. And at long last, there's a smile on his face.
And that's how you build reputations. And legends are made like that. People will say, I'll never forget the drive that Elway made into the win. Or I'll never forget the drive last year in the AFC Championship game, 98 yards for a touchdown. And Vance Johnson being able to hang on to a football in traffic. When other defensive backs around the league see that, they're going to say he's a tough receiver.
Well, that's made it a 21-14 ball game. We're going to take one more look at this touchdown to give you an impact, a feel of the impact.
Well, you really can't appreciate what I'm talking about unless you've been in that situation before.
Well, you've been there. You played in this league for a lot of years, and I know you had your share of hits, and I'm just glad that this body never had to take punishment like that. My goodness.
My playing partner in those days was back in Denver, Dave Logan, outstanding receiver, used to take a lot of those hits just like that.
So the kickoff now to the Bills. Ball hits some man, and now it's picked up. Tasker crossed the 20 and down at the 22-23-yard line. Broncos trying to dig that football loose down there now. 5 minutes, 39 seconds yet to go, and they came up with the football. They have the football. In that scramble down there, the ball was loose. We saw them digging and thought it was a token effort after the play had been whistled dead. That's not the case. And the Broncos, who were on the ropes not that many minutes ago, have an opportunity right now as they have forced the turnover, and we'll take another look.
Tasker going to the right of your screen, number 89, carrying that ball very loosely. He does not have two hands on it, and that ball comes out before his knees touch the ground. And Denver is on it.
Trying to see which one of the Broncos came out of there with the football. Dick Jorgensen.
Replay is reviewing the play.
There's the booth. Art McNally, who is the chief of officials for the National Football League, is here as the replay official today as the reviewing process is underway. And you can imagine the thoughts churning now through the minds of Dan Reeves, because this is a critical call coming up right here. Not to mention the thoughts going through this gentleman's head, Marv Levy.
Well, let's take another look at it. As you can see, to the right of your screen, number 89, Tasker, is held up right there. Now, if his knees don't touch the ground, it's a good call. I can't tell from that angle.
That angle I couldn't tell.
But apparently from this angle here, I think will give you a better idea that I think that it's a good call. Now, see, his knees aren't down yet. The ball's out. The ball is out. The ball belongs to Denver.
The ball is out of there. Yep. We're waiting for the official judgment from upstairs. Mark Munford was the man down here who got on top of the football for the Broncos.
And you really have to maintain your poise in that situation, because the worst thing you can have happen, let's listen. It's a correct call.
There's the call officially now. So at the 23-yard line, Broncos take over first down.
No, they're going to tack on the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for the protestations of the Buffalo Bills, and you just can't do that. At least you can't say some of the things that they probably said.
So that moves the ball to the 11-yard line. Well, you talk about dramatic turnarounds in the fourth quarter. We've just seen one right here in Buffalo. On the ground, it's Winder inside the 10 and still struggling forward until they bend him back. Shane Conlon among those, along with Cornelius Bennett. You see Radisek in there, turning him back. It's going to be a gain to about the 7-yard line.
Gary, and I talked about this earlier. It's easy to know how to play when you have to come from behind. But when you're not accustomed to playing ahead and knowing that you've got to take care of the football, it's a different feeling. It's a different concept, and I don't think the Buffalo Bills are used to it, and they gave the football back to Denver just then.
Broncos have 5 minutes and 2 timeouts. They trail still by 7, but they're threatening right now as Jackson goes in motion. Sammy Winder, big hole, closes, he fumbles. I believe the Bills have it back. Pressure by Bruce Smith. Sammy Winder with the football had the hole open. It closed quickly, and McNanny may have been the man on the football. And of course, we await to see if that's
Look at that pile up. They've got about 15 bodies. Whoa.
There's your reaction. You hear it from the crowd, and you see it on the sidelines. The rookie Odoms comes out of there with the football, and Sammy Winder, a 2-time Pro Bowler, looking for the opportunity to get the Broncos back into a potential overtime or winning situation, have surrendered the ball.
And veteran football clubs, veteran Pro Bowl backs just can't do this. You just cannot turn the football over to the defense inside your 10-yard line. That's an unforgivable mistake.
Sean McNanny, Nate Odoms, jubilant on the defensive crew. The Bills trying to cling to a 7-point lead on the ground, popping it outside. Mueller across the 10 to the 15, still struggling across the 20 to the 25. Oh my, the rookie really getting pumped up now. 20 yards and 20 tough yards.
The Bills saw something special in Jamie Mueller, even though he played at tiny Benedictine College. We told you he's 230 pounds. Runs about a 4.5 40. Picks up 20 yards right now. Won't go down. Even though the Denver Broncos are tackling the football, they're going for the football first and the tackle second.
6 carries, 49 yards for the rookie. And have the Bills been impressive on the ground today? 4 minutes exactly to go. Reed in motion. Riddick, not much this time as he works the right side of the line of scrimmage. We'll go back to the 10-minute ticker now, and we'll check the stretch run in other games around the country. Pittsburgh back in front of Kansas City on the field goal, and Philadelphia has taken a lead over Washington on a field goal. So a couple of changes transpiring in close games there. Cleveland, as you saw, breezy. Green Bay still over Chicago. San Diego for the first time not only in the lead, but that is a final score. And again, San Diego with a comeback victory. They've done it all season. Raiders also coming back, trailing by 3. And look at this. St. Louis leads Tampa Bay by 3. A lot of dramatic turnaround. Denver had the opportunity, but their first turnover has given the Bills the opportunity to try to win this one. And Harmon on the swing pass from Kelly. Can't find running room before Jim Ryan makes the tackle. Counting down close to the 3-minute mark. 3:01 right now. There's the rookie Odoms. He came out of there with a big football just a short time ago. The reaction here at Rich Stadium was the announcement of San Diego's victory over Indianapolis. And it got a big roar. Our attendance today was 63,698 for this one. You see the time remaining and the score. 2-minute warning coming up. But a critical turnover the Broncos made a moment ago, their first of the ball game. Kelly looking for Andre Reed. Got him at midfield. Out of bounds at the 49-yard line.
And the reason why he caught that pass, Steve Wilson pulled a muscle on the play. Steve Wilson pulled a muscle on the play and couldn't keep coverage. Left side of your screen. Number 45 is Wilson. Now he's pulled up. Watch.
Yeah, he's grabbing
He's pulled
there
up on a muscle. Andre Reed beat him badly. Big play by Kelly and Reed.
First down, close to midfield at the 49, 2:24 to go. Kelly took a shot, too, because he was hunkered over as he came away after throwing the ball, but he's all right. Hand off, power back, Jamie Mueller. Into Denver territory now, and a countdown toward the 2-minute warning. Reuben Jones in on the tackle. That's Riddick on the sidelines, and he obviously is hurting. Denver has taken a timeout now before the 2-minute warning. We have 2 minutes and 16 seconds left to go in this ball game. We're going to go to NFL New York and Bob Costas.
Well, a week ago against Cleveland in overtime, Vince Abbott won it for the Chargers. Here's his 39-yarder with 12 seconds to play at the Hoosier Dome. Bingo. After trailing 13-0, San Diego now 7-1 comes back to beat the Colts 16-13.
Oh, the comebacks continue for San Diego. They have been impressive, and a lot of people starting to believe that Al Saunders has got a real ball club. You can see they continue to work down here on Rob Riddick. Riddick, who's just had a tremendous day for the Buffalo Bills, holding the back of his head, and they're bandaging up on any movement there on that right arm. That has a rather ominous look.
Yeah, that would be a big loss for the Buffalo Bills.
Man who scored a touchdown, has run for good yardage today, blocked a punt for a safety that was almost a touchdown.
And I'll tell you why it's such a big loss, because it appears that the Buffalo Bills are going to be tied for first place in the AFC East Division. And in order to keep that thing going, if they want to think big, they need all of the parts. And, of course, Riddick is a big part of that offense.
Indianapolis losing today, now 4-4. New England with a win would be 5-3. Here's Mueller. Boy, look at the rookie popping people around. He just puts his head down and wants to run through them. He is strong.
I think they may have found the fullback. Mueller, rare combination of power and speed. Watch number 39 now. He's going to break outside. Fullbacks don't usually do this because they don't have the speed to get around the corner. But this young fella does. Puts his head down.
Tony Lilly went bouncing.
I didn't see who that was because he went flying.
Tony Lilly, number 22. 9 yards on the pickup. 2:11 to go. Bills moving the football, protecting a 7-point lead. Mueller, no place this time. Lost the football for the second time today. Bills maintaining possession. Mueller had a fumble in the first quarter, and the Bills had a long drive that was negated by the fumble, and here he loses it, but the Bills get it back, and we see Riddick headed for the locker room. 2-minute warning in Buffalo. Bills in possession of
Coa presents Fantastic Finishes, 1986. The Indianapolis Colts are losing again, this time to Atlanta. Trailing by 2 with only 20 seconds left, all they can do is watch as the Falcons prepare to kick it away. 14 straight losses for the Colts now. Hold it. The punt is blocked. Tate Randall spiked it. It's bouncing back to the 15. Eugene Daniels scoops it up and trots home. Colts win.
2 minutes to go in Buffalo. I'm Gary Gerald along with Reggie Rucker. It's been an entertaining afternoon of football. The Broncos were on the ropes, came back, got the turnover they wanted with an opportunity to tie this ball game at 21, but then Sammy Winder fumbled. The Bills took possession on the recovery, and they have now moved into Denver territory, and they have to protect for 2 more minutes to get what would be their 4th win of the year and bring them up to 500 football. Let's take a look at the Denver Broncos report card on the day today. Elway, who had so many problems in the first half trying to complete passes against the wind, got the numbers going as he generated a couple of scoring drives after all. We'll take a look at the report card after this particular play. On the ground, Harmon circling to the left for one of the few times today and gets only to the 35-yard line. Gronk Simon Fletcher, and you can hear the hollering along the sideline for the timeout. Stops the clock with 1:49 to go. Still 21-14. Bills have exhausted their supply of timeouts now. They can no longer stop the clock. 1:58 to play. Buffalo leading this one 21-14, and they have the ball in Denver territory just short of the 35-yard line. Dan Reeves, a very concerned head coach. We mentioned earlier the tough schedule that the Broncos have. They've got Chicago next Monday night, and they're at Los Angeles against the Raiders, at San Diego. Chargers again a winner today, then New England. Life's going to be tough in that AFC Western Division.
It's a tough game.
Indeed it is. A lot of balance in the league. Here's the inside handoff to Ronnie Harmon. Harmon being chased, using some clock. Wants to stay in bounds. Did a nice job of doing so right there to keep the clock moving. You see the countdown continuing. Kelly with a 9-yard touchdown pass to Andre Reed. On the ground, Riddick scored one from a yard out. 2 blocked punts that led to a pair of safeties, and then a 30-yard field goal from Norwood constitutes the 21 points for Buffalo. Elway had a 15-yard touchdown pass to Johnson, and Sammy Winer had a 6-yard touchdown run, resulting in the only scores. So now with a 4th down for Buffalo, the Broncos going to get their hands, it appears, on the football, and the clock continuing to count down. 1:05, and they're taking it down all the way, and they'll take the 5-yard penalty. 1:02 to go. They continue to sort it out and see where the ball is spotted. We'll take a look at the Bills report card today. The rushing story is certainly a significant factor, as well as those 2 blocked punts. Riddick with 78 yards rushing, blocked one of those punts. Tasker blocked the other. For a team that gained only 21 yards on the ground last week, losing to Washington today, what a turnaround with 259 yards rushing. Well, you know the Broncos are going to be coming this time. John Kidd standing back at his own 46-yard line. Here they come. He gets the kick away, hangs it up high. Nobody back there. It bounces at the 5 and into the end zone. They'll bring it back out to the 20. So Elway will have 50 seconds, 49 seconds to go. I saw the clock take a couple of extra ticks after that ball was through the end zone. It was 51, and now it's 49.
You are very percassious, Mr. Joe.
That is a big word, and I'm not sure what it means, but let's check the Broncos report card right now. Elway with 152 yards. The 1 touchdown pass we mentioned to Johnson. Johnson, the primary receiver. So it comes down to 49 seconds here in Buffalo right now. The Broncos have got to go 80 yards, and they've got to go against the wind.
And Bennett is in the ball game.
Cornelius Bennett, he's had an impact in the pass rush situation. Elway to work out of the shotgun, 4-man rush, in trouble, spins away from 1 man, down at the 11-yard line.
And guess who?
Cornelius Bennett. And there's the 3rd sack of the day for the Bills.
And I want to tell you something. The greatest compliment anybody can pay you in this game is when they double team you. An even bigger compliment has to be when they double team a rookie who hasn't even played football in 11 months. They just double team that young man, and he still got to the quarterback.
Clock continues to run. 30 seconds to go. Now we have whistles, contacts. 3 times the Bills. 3 times the Bills have gotten to Elway today. Elway has only been in this game for 5 years, and seems like he's been around for a lot longer than that. He remains almost unflappable in this situation. You remember you mentioned that Super Bowl drive that got them to the Super Bowl in Cleveland in overtime last year. Yeah, he needs to go deep into the bag of tricks right now. Backpedaling to the 2-yard line to set up. Fires and drills it out to Kay, loses the football. That's a free ball, and the Bills have recovered. Dwight Drain is there, and for all intents and purposes, this ball game is over. They ruled it a reception, and the ball knocked away. The 2nd turnover in the late stages of this contest. We'll see whether or not this one will be subject to any review. Buffalo has called timeout. We've We've got 22 seconds to go. Let's take another look, Reggie.
This play pretty much typifies the entire day for the Denver Broncos. What he was trying to do was he lateraled the football to Sewell coming on the outside. It was one of those hook and ladder plays where you hook and then you toss the ball outside, but he never had an opportunity to pitch the football.
One of the Bills shaken up, waiting to see who it is, who's stretched out at the 22-yard line. Eric Burrows, you can see now. What a big win for this Buffalo organization with 22 seconds to go, if they're able to hang on and do it, and certainly they ought to be able to, because Denver has no means of stopping the clock at this point. Time now for our Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser. What a tough way to leave a ball game for an MVP. Rob Riddick of Buffalo is today's MVP. He ran 19 times for 78 yards. He scored 1 touchdown. He blocked a punt that resulted in a safety. And Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVPs selected in today's games. Certainly hope that the injury to him is not severe. You see Burrows coming back, and he appears to be okay after being shaken up a moment ago.
And with all that we, excuse me, Gary, with all that we saw, had it not been for the fumble that Winder made down inside the 10-yard line, Denver still had a chance to play, although I'm not so sure that they were deserving of a win, because certainly the Buffalo Bills outplayed them soundly.
Kelly on a knee, turns around, salutes the crowd. 65,000 strong, roaring their approval as we see the final seconds tick away, and a bitter, bitter loss for Dan Reeves and the Denver Broncos, whose record now 4-3-1 on a day when San Diego has already won to stretch their advantage in the AFC West. A handshake with Marv Levy, whose Buffalo Bills are now 4-4. 21-14 is our final score. The Bills win a big one. In a moment, we'll continue to review the action of today's big Buffalo win here at Rich Stadium. Quarterbacks in Buffalo, this round goes to Kelly and the Bills. A big win over Denver.
Certainly a disappointing loss for the defending AFC champion Denver Broncos, but maybe the dawn of a new era for the Buffalo Bills with Cornelius Bennett defensively.
He certainly made an impact in this one today. A couple of blocked punts leading to a pair of field goals, and the Bills go on to this big victory today by a final score of 21-14. The Bills now 4-4. Denver 4-3-1. Stay tuned for the second half of our doubleheader. Some of you will see Miami and the Cincinnati Bengals. Others see the surprising Oilers take on the San Francisco 49ers. For Reggie Ruckert, Gary Gerald saying so long from